at the top of the hour on Vibes Radio.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. The EAC region continues to search for regional peace, and President William Ruto gave an assurance that Kenya is committed to ensuring that peace returns to the Democratic Republic of Congo. Ruto spoke when authorizing the KDF Defense Force to leave the country for the Democratic Republic of Congo following the ongoing fierce fighting between the M23 militia and the government forces.
The DRC has made encouraging steps to stabilize, create national capacity to provide security services, as well as guarantee opportunities for its citizens. The country remains, however, burdened with serious challenges, and I believe that we owe a brotherly duty of solidarity to meet DRC halfway and stand together until the job is done. The situation in Eastern DRC remains fluid at the operational and even at the diplomatic level.
The president said that the countries of the East Africa community agreed to send more troops to the country, saying that he has contacted all stakeholders about the operation.
I am confident that you understand the immense nature of the mission you are about to embark on and the expectations that come with it. Your resolve to always execute your mandate, often in unforgiving situations and conditions, to the highest standard, has earned the Kenya Defense Forces accolades in missions abroad and ensured the same back home, thereby making Kenya a beacon of peace, freedom, and hope.
He advised the soldiers to ensure that they comply with all international laws when they continue the security operation in the country. Apart from the M23, the DRC army is also facing the task of confronting the Islamic State Allied Democratic Forces ADF group and several other armed groups still in the East Africa region and the peace. Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed hailed the breakthrough deal with Tigrayan rebels for cessation of hostilities after 2 years of conflict and vowed it would be implemented. Abiy took power in Ethiopia in April 2018, pledging a raft of political and economic reforms in Africa's second most populous country after almost 3 decades of government dominated by the Tigray People's Liberation Front. He won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2019 for initiating a approachment with neighboring Eritrea, a fiat player in the conflict against the Tigrayan rebels. But in November 2020, he sent troops to topple TPLF in their Tigray stronghold after accusing the group of launching attacks on federal army camps. Former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo is the AU broker for the talks.
It's the beginning of a new dawn for Ethiopia, for the Horn of Africa, and indeed for Africa as a whole. Let me hasten to thank God for this new dawn. We have seen in practice and actualization what we have tried to achieve for ourselves over the years, and that is African solution for African problems.
And the 5 principal secretaries who served under former President Uhuru Kenyatta said to continue serving under the current regime. This if they sail through the vetting process to be conducted by the relevant departmental committees of the National Assembly and their names approved by Parliament. The 5 are among 51 people that have been nominated by President William Ruto for the much coveted position that attracted more than 9,000 applicants. Notable among the nominees is the current PS in charge of Regional and Northern Corridor Development, Bailey Kipsang, who is headed back to the State Department for Basic Education, Environment and Forestry PS. Dr. Chris Kipto is headed to the National Treasury after he was nominated in the same position. 2 serving PSs are set to retain their current positions. They are Charles Hinga, who is the Principal Secretary in charge of State Department for Housing and Urban Development, and Hari Kimutai, who is in charge of the State Department for Livestock Development. The current devolution PS, Julius Korir, is headed to the office of the Deputy President. This is after he was nominated in the same position to be in charge of State Department for Cabinet Affairs. And Foreign and Diaspora Affairs Cabinet Secretary Dr. Alfred Mutua has flown to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in a bid to address the plight of mistreated Kenyan migrant workers in the Gulf state. This is Newswire. Dennis Alceto. Good morning.
Hiya. How's the traffic looking like? Okay, Mombasa Road heading towards town. It's starting to build up just around, not Imaradaima, but Imaradaima is moving for now, but just in Syokimau coming into town. Thika Superhighway has started building up at the interchange, Kiambu Road and Thika Superhighway. Other roads are not looking bad at all. Jogoo Road has started to do its thing at Makadara area, and of course the Rabai Road junction. Anything else we will find out in about half an hour's time.
97.6 Spice FM, Malindi. This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
How are you doing? It's the 3rd day of November. Just like that, it is November, as in, really.
November was struggling with October there for a moment, wasn't it?
Yeah. Hiya. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. Eric and CT. CT, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
Uh-huh.
The cold is back with us.
Buana.
Indeed, Buana.
Just like that, Buana.
Just before you could say Abra and also Kadabra. Yes.
Where? Hey, just waking up and it's raining.
Waking up and it's cold. And it's going to get colder. Well, there are county governments that have spoken of how it is that they prepared for these rains. Yes. They have water.
Like which one?
I will tell you in a moment.
What have they done?
They water pans. And essentially I will remember the name of the county where I think it was the governor saying that they're prepared and they're going to harvest this rain as it comes. When I will also remember to observe and see whether they've actually done what they said they're going to do. Because, yes, I couldn't help but notice, even as I was driving into this compound, that it's raining. And I was looking at the water collection points, and I was asking, all this rain that rains on the roof surface, where does it go to? I couldn't help but think. Yes.
Well, I hope it's raining in the parts that are completely dry, really, because those ones really, really need the rain. And that's why they also need to start thinking of collection. Because in the very many counties, what they'll experience is flash floods. And
flash floods are destructive.
Yeah, and not rainfall. So you're just sitting there, very hot, dry afternoon, and
boom,
water.
By the way, if you ever see what a flash flood can do, it isn't pleasant. It isn't. I once passed by a road that is Suba, Gwasi sub-county. It's a road one passed when one was going towards Migori, a place called Sori. And on my way, I came from Sori, I was going to a place called Sinda, which is headquarters, then I was going back. In between it rained. An entire village had been swept away.
What?
Yes, an entire village. That water came from the hills, where there was a village on one side of the road and another on the other side. 3 days later when I passed by, there was nothing.
On both sides?
Nothing.
What?
And
have they experienced this before?
I didn't. The people I might have asked are the people who I think had been swept away.
What?
But when I spoke to people, the road I was passing on was now a rivulet. There was water on the road and it was running water. But as you said, flash flood. It came like an avalanche and it just swept. It's one of these things. It's like a terrible nightmare that you're experiencing.
My goodness.
When you talk of flash floods, it's something to be aware of and something to be afraid of.
It's really, really crazy. And especially because if you haven't done much preparation, in terms of covering topsoil, it just comes, it goes with your topsoil, it's just completely destructive.
But what is also true, I remember yesterday you're talking about when you're driving towards water and how you're seeing bare hills. In previous times when one used that road, one looked at the hills because the water came from the hills. One saw trees.
Yes.
The trees kept getting decimated to the point where you just saw hill, no trees.
No tree.
Yes. So there's nothing to actually halt that forward movement of the water.
What? Anyway, welcome to Thursday, everybody. It's Justice Thursdays. We'll have a Justice Thursdays conversation. And today also, we will be having a guest host joining us. Daisy Maritime Minor, political analyst and governance expert, will be coming at some point in the show, so that she will be here with us through the show. At 7 o'clock, let's go into 8. We will have two officials from KOTU to come and tell us why KOTU is supporting that 6% NSSF deduction on workers' salaries. Remember, they have had a meeting with the president between NSSF, the employers, and the NSSF itself and the president. And NSSF has now said, let's increase these deductions. Dr. Damaris Muhika is a programs director at KOTU and is a former board member at NSSF. She will come and tell us how NSSF operates and why it's important for them to have this increment. She'll be joined by the head of communications at KOTU, Bruno Otiato. That's the 8 a.m. discussion. At 9 a.m., we will talk about Micro and Small Enterprises Tribunal and the role it has in the social transformation through access to justice. We'll be joined by Dr. Jackson Bett, who is the chairperson of this MSMEs Tribunal, still having a Justice Thursdays conversation focusing on tribunals. And at 7 o'clock, so there is this whole issue of housing and the Hustler Fund is coming. Are Saccos prepared for this? We'll be speaking to somebody who is a head of a Sacco, the director and treasurer of Imarisha Sacco, Charles Sigeye. He'll be with us. He'll tell us about the Hustler Fund and the saving opportunities for Kenyans. He'll be joined by Tim Kipchumba, who we know is a policy analyst and an aspirant for the Elgeyo Marakwet senatorial seat. Tim Kipchumba. So that is the conversation at 7. Heavy, isn't it?
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting.
We will see.
To say the very least.
To say the very least. Let's take a break. At this point, we are live streaming the show as we always do on YouTube and Facebook, but also we have conversations on Twitter as well. If you are online, let us know where you're locked in from, and we will do the usual shout out. First, we take a look at the weather forecast.
This is the Situation Room. The only way to start your day. The adults in the room.
He's promiscuous or he's polygamous. We need to get over ourselves.
So I should always know the man that marries me, I know there will be other women.
Yes.
The relationship you have with yourself is the foundation of the relationships you will have with other people.
Things that we never talk about. 3 things. Stop, breathe, and relax.
Whether it is matters of the heart, finances, or work that's weighing on your mind, worry not.
Tune into Adults in the Room
every Monday to Friday from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m.
The adults in the room will help you stay winning. Only on 94.4 SpiceFM, Nairobi.
Okay, so now we have changed our issues about weather in Nairobi into rain. Light rain expected in Nairobi today, highs of 22 and lows of 15. Today, Mombasa will be sunny with highs of 30. Malindi will also be sunny, highs of 30. Kisumu partly cloudy with highs of 28. Nakuru light rain at 23. Nyeri light rain at 19. Kakamega cloudy at 27. Eldoret clear skies at 23. Kampala rain at 26. Dar es Salaam rain at 31. Johannesburg light rain at 21. Kinshasa DRC light rain at 30. Lagos light rain at 32. Beijing sunny afternoon at 14. London rain showers, and in fact there's a rain alert at yellow. It's going to be not so good. 13 at the highs. Clear skies in New York at 21, and Paris light rain at 14.
Chilled Spice. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
And it's Thursday, and they're online, and they're tuned into the Situation Room. One of them is David Miendo Machone. Good morning, says. Bewa Macha is also locked in. James Mulikimanzi eagerly waiting for conversations to begin. Espila Jackie says, waiting eagerly for conversations. Kindly invite an officer from the Immigration Department and from the Registrar of Persons. The question, why is it difficult to obtain a passport or a birth certificate in Kenya? It may look easy, but kwa ground, vitu tofauti.
Yeah. I thought that ghost had been laid to rest.
Why? Not everybody is able to easily get their passport, especially birth certificates. I've had this before. Remember, even the CS, Dr. Matiang'i, had to raid that department and ask them, you people, why are people complaining? Somebody has been born, issue the birth certificate. Nini? Huh? Tietia says, Boisiele. That's good morning. What language is that? Boisiele.
I don't know.
My people, up and ready for the coolest morning show in the whole of
probably
Africa.
Probably a dialect from Western Kenya.
It is a Kiluya?
I think so.
Okay. Boisiele. Sawa. Boisiele to you too. Ndungu. Good morning, Eric and CT Muga, a.k.a. Mwalimu Andrew. Greetings from a wet Tigoni. Looking forward to great stories and fresh laughs. Yes, yes, yes. We promise that and more. Who else is online? People. Daisy is saying, yeah, she's going to be here shortly. David Miendo Machone, we've already said you're in. Cyprian Moura, good morning. Team Spice from Nakuru. Charles Chalo, good morning. Kiongwani County 017 is locked. Kilimani, I'm toasting the game. Softy, Dinosa. Okay. Atieno Jermaine, good morning. Kisumu is locked. Everybody who is tuned in this morning, karibuni sana. Emmanuel Achayo from Karariu is tuned. Robert Bogo, good morning. Tuned in from Mombasa. Collins Kimtai Kimsat, already in the house. Amos Freeman watching in from Kimilili, Kibingay Ward. James Muli Kimanzi, hello guys, watching in from Palms Resort in Nyali. Beatrice Ngania, good morning. Present Peter Kigumoga Shosho. Simon Odiembo, morning, good friends. We thank God the grass is sprouting in Magarini. Yes, that is a good thing. Where? Magarini can get dry. Good morning, family. Pleasure to see Daisy Maritime joining us today. Yes, Collins, she'll be here. Everybody, welcome to the conversation. City, do you like that?
All right. You know, hey, these proverbs, honey. All right. Every man is rich in excuses to safeguard his prejudices and his instincts.
Every man is rich in excuses to safeguard his prejudices and instincts. It's a long story. It's like a lecture.
I wonder what it is.
What are they saying? This sounds like it was made by an angry person.
This one, I think, yes. It was somebody who was saying, essentially, somebody who has been promised many times and the promises have not quite worked out. Saying, no, this guy is joking.
Just excuses, yeah.
He's telling me all sorts of things. You telling me, what are you saying?
Those are your prejudices.
Those are and your instincts, not anybody else's.
Yeah. Come here, blah, 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 blah.
You tell me the truth and answer my question.
And we move on.
And the question I'm asking you to answer is the one I've asked you to answer.
Yes.
Not
the one you're thinking. Okay. Let's look at the newspaper headlines. What's on the front page of the Standard?
Ruto's big gamble in PS choices. In a delicate balance, President retains a few PSs for continuities, goes for fresh blood in young ones, rewards loyalists and political allies, but falls short on regional balance, gender and minority representation. The full story is on page 4 and 5.
Other stories?
Other stories. Now, you know how in the Standard there's that big story which is in your face?
Yes.
Then at the top, there are all these little subtitles. Bold roadside declarations haunt new CSs. That story is on page 6. Yes, roadside declarations are back. Everyone's salary will be increased. Mitumba will halt immediately, etc., etc. Setback for Kawira's cabinet. That is on page 22. Body cams. This one is going to be an interesting story. Body cams for taxman and agents. So as you are talking, we can see who you are talking to and how you are talking to.
And how you are talking.
Those gadgets are going to malfunction. Yeah. Olympic hero breathes his last.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Now this one, Kiprugut, a very famous gentleman, Wilson Kiprugut Chumo, the first Kenyan, the first African ever to win a medal in the Olympics. That was in 1964 Olympic Games. He passed away in his home in Kericho County at the age of 90.
He won what medal and in what sport?
This particular gentleman, if I am not wrong, he ran the 800 and it was called 880 yards, which now became 800 meters. Yes. 880. It used to be called 880 yards. Yes, that's what he ran. So, that is called a long sprint. 100 meters, everyone knows a sprint. 200 meters, they know 400 is a sprint. But 800 is a long sprint.
2 laps.
2 laps, my friend, until you actually forget to breathe.
Okay. May he rest in peace. The headline in this Nation: Ruto government takes final shape. Mix of old and new. The list of proposed principal secretaries in the Kenya Kwanza administration reveals a delicate attempt by the president to equitably share the executive pie, but it also exposes an inclination to reward party loyalists with plump positions. They have some graphics there on the front page. They show us the youngest CS is Soipan Tuya and Susan Nakumicha, 43 years old. The oldest CSs are Ezekiel Machogu of Education and Attorney General Justin Muturi, 66 years old. The average age of the CSs is 54. If we look at the gender distribution, in terms of CSs, because of 7 out of 22 CSs, we see around 31%.
Around. So that gender thing has been done.
Around there, 31%.
Yes, approximately.
Yeah. 30% is 21, if you are 21. If it's 22, but that's short. PSs. there are only 12 women out of the 51. That is about a 23%.
Short.
Very, very short. Yeah? Very, very, very short.
And here, short doesn't mean one is vertically challenged. It means it didn't meet the mark.
Yes. Yes. So in terms of, again, regional distribution, Mount Kenya and the Rift Valley get the lion's share on both the CS and PSs. 50% of cabinet positions, that's 11 out of 22, went to Mount Kenya and Rift Valley, with 10 of them going to Mount Kenya. 50.9% of PS positions, that's 26 out of 51, also go to Mount Kenya and Rift Valley, excluding one post for Turkana. That distribution of how he's basically balanced it out. There are those that are complaining, hey, but if you look at that, it looks like this is a government of, if it's 50% going to these two regions. You're asking what's the problem?
No. I'm not asking where the problem is. I am not surprised that has happened. Yes. To the victor.
Go the spoils.
Yes. One may not like it. It may abrogate certain written down rules and laws and understandings of parity, gender distribution, understanding the place of those who live with disabilities, understanding regional balance. Yes. A political balance doesn't necessarily go well with what the Constitution has dictated. Neither does it always go well with what you may refer to as regional balance. Because we can only look at the names and assume we understand.
We understand how they got there.
We actually don't. We don't know the horse trading that took place. We don't know who did what and what favor is being returned. We actually don't know. We're in the dark. And even when we get snippets of information, it's usually biased. The person who's telling us is telling us from, or rather, from a perspective that is probably tinted. So here we have them. I'm waiting to see how they're going to perform. Where they come from, the balance that they're involved in, that doesn't concern me one single bit. Not really.
So they're returning PSs, right?
Yes.
Those who are returning, Dr. Chris Kiptor, who now goes to the National Treasury, Charles Hinga, who retains his position in housing, Belio Kipsang, who makes a comeback to education. There's Tum, who now goes to, goes to agriculture. So there's that kind of distribution of the positions and where they're coming. And then there's also people who are serving as bosses of parastatals. Okay? So we look at the various heads of parastatals who've been nominated, including Raymond Omolo, who's been given the powerful docket of Interior. He's currently director of the Lake Basin Development Authority. Dr. Juma Mukhwana, who's the Director General and CEO of the Kenya National Qualifications Authority, nominated as PS for the Department of Industry. John Kipchumba Tanui, the current CEO of Konza Technopolis, is the Information, Communication and Digital Economy PS. Philip Kelo Harsama, former Agriculture Food Authority boss, who went to vie as Governor of Marsabit County, given the Department of Crop Development. So he's somebody who's also been there. He's been the head of Food Agriculture AFA. Acting ICT Authority boss Paul Rono landed the position of Water and Sanitation PS. James Muhati, proposed as the Economic Planning PS, is the Huduma Kenya CEO. Amos Gadesha, Public Service, is the Principal Administrative Secretary in the National Treasury. Susan Mangeni, the nominee for MSME's development, will be entrusted with a 50 billion shilling Hustler Fund. She was a UDA coordinator in Busia. Other political rewardees include Aurelia Rono, who goes to Parliamentary Affairs as PS.
Repeat that name again.
Aurelia Rono.
Thank you very much.
Aurelia Rono.
Red lorry, yellow lorry. Yes.
Parliamentary Affairs PS. And Umi Bashir, who goes to Wildlife, not to Culture. They both served as members of UDA's National Elections Board. Other women PS nominees: Teresia Mbaika Malokwe, Devolution; Esther Ngero, Performance and Delivery Management; Caroline Nyawera Murage, Correctional Services; Veronica Mweninduva, Gender and Affirmative Action; Esther Dhara Muhoria, TVET; Josephine Mburu, Health Standards and Professional Management; Beatrice Inyangala, higher education and research. Sylvia Nasaya Muhoro, wildlife. We'll talk about them in greater detail.
51 in total.
51 PSs in total.
51, 5 and 1. Yes.
And he had said he was looking for 49.
You know something, my man? This one, work in progress.
It changes.
Work in progress.
It changes as things go.
Remember, my start date for the 100 days is now we know the PSs. When these gentlemen have been vetted, and gentlemen and ladies have been vetted, and they are in, then I start counting.
Then you'll start counting 100
That's
days.
when I'll start counting 100 days.
That will be on the 100th day.
It is okay, because right now, with all these pirika, this and this and the other, what am I counting?
See the days?
No.
Anyway.
When they are all in, I will start counting the days from then.
Daisy Maritime is here. Daisy, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? Welcome to this situation room. This is where everything happens. Why are you talking to your mic?
Am I? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Very, very happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. You know why I'm happy? I'm happy for 2 reasons. Maybe for 7 reasons, but I'll state 2.
7?
7.
Right.
I'll state 2.
7 years in Tibet.
The first one, of course.
That's the title of a movie. Yes.
First reason?
First reason is because this is the Situation Room. So it's a great honor to be on the premier, foremost morning show that's head and shoulders above the rest. So impressing my fellow village mates back in Kapsoroget village.
Kapsoroget is in which county?
Kericho County.
In which constituents?
Come on, Cliff.
Eric,
Latif.
Which constituency?
Which constituency? Belgood.
Which ward?
What is my ward? Seretet.
Okay.
Seretet.
Kapsoroget, Seritet.
Yes.
In Belgood.
Yeah. And the second reason is because for once, I'm not on the hot seat. I have joined the side of the tormentors who ask the hard questions. So I'm delighted. I have every reason to be happy to be here. So thank you for inviting me.
You know the show starts at 6, Daisy?
I know.
Not at 6:30.
I had to travel across the land to be here.
You know Eric isn't going to let you get away with this.
I know. I apologize for being
Very
late.
good. That's good enough. Yeah. 28 minutes to 7. Let's take a quick break. Take a look at the traffic. And then we look at more headlines in the papers. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room. The only way to start your day.
When you're impeached, you're impeached. When you're sentenced, you're sentenced.
Madam Chief Justice.
Until the sentence is set aside.
Ukibeba vitu kwa roho utakufa. If you carry things in your heart, you will die.
You've had the luxury of living for 50 years and you cannot still explain yourself. Surely. Oh my God.
The reason for which you went to school and then gathered experience, that reason must be paid for.
All right.
Okay.
This level.
Shape up or ship out.
Levels don't change.
No.
Since I'm not shipping out.
You know my business partner here.
Shipping out.
Are we talking about the ship in the bathtub? Or
the ship man?
Emmanuel Talabu used to tell us a story of they were in school and they'd been told to write composition about a ship. His classmate raises a hand. Teacher, are you talking about the ship or ship goat?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
So I tell you what, Jogoo Road around Hamza Makadara is busy as you'd expect, and this stretches up to the Buruburu Junction, that's Rabai Road Junction into Jogoo Road. Manyanja Road is also getting busy as you exit Outer Ring Road and then come towards Jogoo Road. Kiambu Road, the usual suspect. It's not so bad right now, which is surprising. At 6:30 a.m., the only issue is at the Kiambu Road interchange. The rest of it is flowing well. Langata Road is moving very smoothly. Ngong Road is looking good. Oloitoktok and Kikambala are looking good. James Gishoro, Kuna Road looking good. Spring Valley and all are looking good. Even Limuru Road is still looking good. Let's see how they'll be looking like in about half an hour.
Welcome to Spice FM, the best exclusive radio station bringing you the best mix of the best music ever. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
Hey, 25
94
minutes to 7. Yes, Vashiele, everybody. We now know Vashiele is Hallelujah. It's good morning.
So my guess wasn't too far off, was it?
It wasn't. It's like we know Kalam. So now, we know Kalam Kadze. And then when you told Vashiele, you say Vashiele Muno.
Yes.
This is according to Ednah.
According to Ednah?
Yes.
All right. And the one which is the Mkaze one?
The Kalamkaze one. Kalamuka.
The Lamka. I have woken. Okay.
Zalamkaze.
Yes.
Zalamka. Yeah. So as Daisy looks at the paper and then she tells us what story she'd like us to discuss, let me tell you about some two nominees of President William Ruto's principal secretaries. These two have been appointed by some various counties to serve in those counties. Two of President William Ruto's principal secretary nominees are twice lucky as they were named yesterday despite having already secured two jobs and top jobs in counties. Sylvia Museya Kihoro was nominated as Tourism PS yesterday, but on Monday she was among 7 nominees who were vetted by the Laikipia County Assembly following their nomination by Governor Joshua Irongo. Esther Zahara Mohoria, who has been nominated as a PS for Technical and Vocation Education and Training, TVET, was sworn in on Tuesday as a member of the Embu Governor Cecily Marire's executive. She was appointed the county secretary. Already, kazi imekuja kazi kwa wingi.
Na kuna watu hawana kazi jamani.
Asini shauri yao bana.
Wengine wako na mbili.
Sasa nataka nifanye nini?
Bana.
Kama baraka
imeniangukia kama mvua.
Baraka bahati ya mwenzio.
Sio?
Usilalie mlango wazi. Esther Dhara. So, let me tell you about this Miss Sylvia Museya Kihoro. Ms. Kihoro has had her star rising since graduating from the University of Nairobi 11 years ago. She is 34 years and she's among the young talents tapped by the president to help him run his new government. Professional high school teacher, was born in arid Laikipia North Sub-County, where pastoralism is the economic mainstay. During her vetting by the Laikipia County Assembly on Monday, she told a panel that she is worth 138 million shillings, which includes assets and bank savings that she has accumulated since leaving the university 11 years ago. 11 years and 38 million shillings, 2 jobs in the 11th year. I mean, shaurienu. Her appointment by Irongo to serve as a county executive committee member did not come as a surprise to many, having managed campaign funds for the governor during the campaigns. Before joining politics, she served for 6 years as a high school teacher serving at State House Girls in Nairobi. She then worked at the Jubilee Party Secretariat. After the 2017 elections, she was among party loyalists who were rewarded when she was nominated as an MCA in the Nairobi County Assembly. She served as an ardent supporter of Governor Mike Sonko, even when it was obvious that he was on his way out, having fallen out of favor with the top leadership of Jubilee. At one point, Ms. Kihoro and other Sonko loyalists were kicked out of Jubilee. With the 22 general elections approaching, Kihoro went back to her home county of Laikipia, where she initially declared her intention to run for woman rep position before shelving that ambition to team up with Irongo. She managed the campaign funds for Irongo. When Irongo became governor, he appointed her into his cabinet. Now, William Ruto has tapped her to be the next tourism PS. Pancheza. Sanchez. Daisy, good, bad, iffy.
Regarding what you just read? Well, congratulations to her. I hope she executes her mandate effectively. That is all I have to comment.
You and I on the same page. I don't really care where the PSs come from. This gender balance, that's important. Looking after the interest of those who live with disabilities, that is important. The region they come from, they're Kenyans. It is okay.
Not important.
It is okay. Let us see what they're going to do. Because if we focus on where they come from, we miss the whole point of these nominations. These people are nominated to actually perform for the entire country and for all citizens. Okay?
Yeah, although there is a constitutional requirement for regional balance.
Yes,
for
there
obvious
is.
reasons.
What does balance mean?
Balance means attempting some sort of numerical fairness, I suppose.
And that's the one I'm saying. I couldn't care less.
Because, as they say, cliche as it sounds, representation matters.
It does. And the reason why it matters and the reason why I don't care is because it matters, we have focused our attention on where people come from as though that's the determinant for what ought to happen when these people are performing their duties nationally.
Yeah.
It shouldn't matter where they come from.
Ideally.
It shouldn't matter because that representation where you come from, you have an MP, okay, comes from where you come from. You have a senator, comes from where you come from. You have a governor, comes from where you come from. Now, if you want to get granular, you have an MCA, comes right from where you come from.
You have a president, never comes from where you come from.
Precisely. And the deputy doesn't. These are national positions. So I'm saying the representation already exists. So, PS, let them come from wherever they come from. Let's see what they do with the position.
So it doesn't matter even if all of them came from Nairobi.
If you want to bring all of them from Nairobi, you bring them. Bring them. And then people will take you to court. Whatever will happen. But I am simply saying, my point is, it's a distraction when the conversation centers around where they come from, as opposed to the competence that these people are supposed to bring to the office. That's really my argument.
I agree. While that conversation matters, it shouldn't be the be-all and end-all or the focus, because it does detract from what is important. Yeah.
It's like the other day, there was this discussion about the security arm of the government, and the names of the individuals seem to come from a certain community. You wonder, when somebody is appointed as DCI, were they the headmaster of a primary school somewhere before they were appointed? See, they were police officers.
Were they a cook?
Somewhere.
Like Lenku was.
Yes. You see, I mean, they are...
a cook. Come on.
Sorry, I meant chef.
Really.
Chef is a cook. So, the point is, why you get granular on things which, in my opinion, are besides the point. Does this person have the ability to do what they're supposed to do? The answer is yes, then let them do it.
Let them get the job.
Let them get on. Let's get used to the idea that Kenyans are Kenyans irrespective of their color, the tint, and if they're given a job and they're doing it, good.
That's a conversation we've actually had before with Eric on a different show. Kenya has no shortage of talent, of skills, of training, of experience. In fact, we are one of... Exactly, I was just about to say that. That's one of our high exports, including prime ministers and presidents.
It's actually our highest
to Western countries.
If you consider that our highest foreign exchange earner comes from our diaspora in the form of remittances, human resource.
Tuko nayo.
Precisely.
Tuko nayo.
Daisy, interesting story you've seen?
There's multiple, but there's one that has caught my eye in this Standard. I think it's the Standard that I have. Kenyan troops head to troubled DRC as rebels intensify attacks. Now, I'm reading the article, and some segments of it look like rhetoric,
Like
we have... We have all agreed, I think this is quoting the president, we have all agreed that it is our collective responsibility to keep our region safe by confronting criminals and terrorists, denying us the opportunities of shared prosperity. But when it comes to the DRC, what happens is that all efforts are shrouded with suspicion because of what the DRC represents. The DRC represents bounty. So we're suspicious of all efforts, whether it's from the DRC local leaders, from the regional leaders, from multinational corporations, from Western countries. The suspicion is always that the intention is extraction from the DRC. And I was having a conversation yesterday, and somebody was asking me, in whose interest is it to have stability in the DRC? And I said, in nobody's interest except a Congolese person. in nobody's interest.
Please explain what you mean.
Historically, okay, so two things. One thing we all know about the DRC, especially as Africans, that it's a country of bounty, you know, from the ground downwards in terms of minerals and from the ground upwards. I've been to Kinshasa. Beautiful country. It's a beautiful city, rather. It's the only place I've been in the Congo. And the one thing that I noticed is even in the city, the trees are laden with fruits. You know, it's a fertile country. There is so much wealth. But that wealth doesn't translate to the material conditions of the people. Why? Because the history of extraction, which is continuing right now in the DRC, is so long and particularly brutal. The DRC, I think, is the only African country that was a personal company. It belonged to King Leopold. All other colonies were protectorates or colonies that belonged to a country or a state in Europe.
Belonged to the kingdom.
Yes.
Yes, but
Belgium
this one was a personal property of Leopold.
It was a personal enterprise because very early on, its potential to generate wealth, generational wealth, was identified then. And the extraction that happened was the most brutal in the history of Africa or in colonial history. And that legacy is perpetuated up until now, only that some of the actors are the same, but they're new entrants. So he asked me, who do you think would be
benefiting from a peaceful DRC?
But answer was nobody except the regular DRC person.
But can we really say it's nobody else except that? So, of course, the number one beneficiary is the citizen of the DRC.
Mm-hmm.
But then also, when there is peace in the DRC, the neighbors also benefit from a peaceful country. If you just look at it broadly, if we consider that DRC was the latest entrant to the East African community, it just boosted our numbers. So we are talking about a 300 million strong market. If you have stability in the region, if you are able to actually cross over into DRC and move within DRC, imagine the kind of trade that you would be able to do just in a peaceful DRC.
Yes.
Imagine the kind of, because then wealth will be realized by the people of DRC. They'll have purchasing power, actual purchasing power.
While that is true, it is also the same thing that feeds into the rhetoric that regional leaders would use to say, this is why we need to be there. And I know I'm sounding skeptical, but just from and I've been a student of the DRC for the past maybe 15 years. It just provides a pretext for presence in order to extract.
So you think our military and the other regional militaries will be going there and they'll be following some certain underhand orders?
I'm not saying that factually, but I am just raising my suspicion based on the long-term and recent history of the DRC.
DRC is regionally divided. They have the equivalent of what we call counties. Previously, we called provinces.
Yeah.
And in all fairness, in all practicality, they are semi-autonomous. Okay? Now, and when a state is semi-autonomous, it means it has its own security forces, it has its own militia, as we call them, it has its own, you name it. And they negotiate their own things with whoever it is. Because how do you explain...
Including secession.
Yes. How do you explain a situation where, for instance, you're talking about the conflict that we speak of is the one that is being blamed on M23. They captured Goma in 2012. They were driven off by forces that were Congolese UN-led. There are claims that the Rwandan government is supporting them. The Rwandan government will tell you that there are rebels who ran away from Rwanda who are also nestled in DRC. I mean, if you look at DRC and you look at the country it borders, that tells you the story. If there's a problem in a neighboring country, it's likely to creep into DRC. If there's a problem in DRC, it's likely to cross the border and go into the other country. But the one thing that DRC has that all the other countries don't have, as Daisy correctly put it, they have resources.
Yes.
Plenty of it.
Yeah, and it's because of this resources that there has been a very systemic formation of, let me call it an axis, because it's a convergence of players. Yeah, there's an axis of there's the local political leadership, when going back historically. Then there's the multinational corporations, and then there's the regional leadership. There's the Rwanda, which has a long history with the DRC, as you know. So when these interests and powers converge for a very long time, they form an axis that just further complicates this problem, but also perpetuates it.
Yep.
So
you've seen all these peacekeeping brigades in the DRC, from the longest running one, UN peacekeeping force, to the other countries basically just going to send their troops in there. Do you think this one by the East African community could actually move them closer to any semblance of peace?
One would hope so, and it is based purely and entirely on the will of the East African leaders. The will, how they're going to use their leverage and influence and troops to realize a goodwill.
Daisy, if we're to speak truth to this matter, even if you look at the leaders in East Africa, most of our leaders are businessmen. Okay?
Yeah,
that is the truth.
Yes, and DRC is a good place to do business. There's a lot of business to be had. Okay, so in what sort of atmosphere do you think business would thrive? In one where there's peace, or in one where there's constant turmoil and requiring some firefighting?
Depends on the business.
I think that I should point something out. Turmoil in the DRC is normally concentrated in one region.
Yes, it is.
In the capital city, for instance, there's never been war there.
No.
There's never been war. So still, the DRC, as you mentioned, geographically is vast.
It's massive.
Population-wise, I think, I can't remember, the last time I checked, their population was upwards of 100 million. I don't know what it is now.
It's heading towards 2.
You see.
They don't know. They haven't conducted a census, proper census.
They haven't conducted a proper census.
And why haven't they conducted a proper census?
No peace.
I think there's a there's also been a leadership deficit. I mean, the story there is long. So yeah. So you were asking about economic opportunities in the DRC, and they're vast. One Kenyan who has recognized that very well is one Dr. James Mwangi. You know, he recently, as he was acquiring banks across the continent, we saw on the news for a long time that the DRC was what do you call it? An area of focus for him. Why? Because of the enormous potential. In fact, I understand that he bought the oldest bank in the DRC, called BCDC. Their KCB was 100 years old, with a history of extraction, is where it's a bank that the Wazungus set up because they needed somewhere to put all the loot they were accumulating. So economic prosperity, economic potential is there in the DRC, whether or not there is turmoil, because that turmoil most often is concentrated in the northeast region, isn't it?
You see, when I talk
so you can do both.
When I talk about the semi-autonomy, it also means that individuals who are powerful in these regions benefit directly because they're the ones who have the say.
Yes.
And what I'm also saying is this, that when you look at legacies and the legacy of the let's call it colonial rule for discussion's sake in DRC, it has worked perfectly. Yeah. Because imagine a situation where DRC was actually at peace and the country was running well. Can you imagine the juggernaut it would be?
Yep.
Absolutely.
So that's why I asked the question. For many people, as it's fragmented, good.
It works.
Yes.
Charles Onyango Obo writes in The Nation today, and he says his heartache awaits Kenya in the DRC. He looks at Kenya is the only country that actually has not had presence of foot soldiers in the DRC.
Yes.
Uganda has been there, Rwanda has been there, Tanzania has been there. We are the ones who are now going there for the first time. And he's saying, boys, prepare yourselves. You go there and you think that, we'll just come in and pacify the country. Forget it. The thing, though, just like you're asking, Daisy, do you think there's some people in the country who have looked at, let's send our troops, let's use our presence, our military presence in the country to take advantage? If everybody else has been taking advantage, why should we be left out?
Mm-hmm.
And now it gives us this good opportunity because, East Africa community, because as leaders, because we are brothers and sisters, let's get in there as well and partake of the big one.
Mm-hmm.
Higher. The new Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture, his name is Medeka Linturi, says the government will release 350 million shillings towards the purchase of livestock from pastoralists in 13 counties in a move aimed at cushioning communities that are severely affected by the searing drought. Did you hear that?
Yes.
The government will release 350 million shillings to purchase livestock. Which livestock? The livestock off-stick program will kick off next week, and will see the Kenya Meat Commission buy emaciated animals for slaughter to feed the hungry. The targeted counties are Tana River, Embu, Garissa, Kitui, Makueni, Meru, Narok, Nyeri, Kajiado, Tharaka Nithi, Taita Taveta, Kwale, and Kilifi. Agriculture and Livestock Development CS Linturi said the animals will be slaughtered by KMC and the meat distributed by the National Drought Management Authority to at least 47,000 households bearing the worst brunt of the prolonged drought.
Am I getting this story correctly?
Ebu, how did you get it?
How will the new animals that are going to be distributed, what measures are there to not make them emaciated? Get them to the emaciation point as well.
So we are buying the emaciated animals, bring them to Kenya Meat Commission, slaughter them into meat, distribute the meat.
I see.
That's the plan.
Okay.
350 million shillings worth. This is not the first time we're talking.
Is it a plan or is it something that is being done?
Well, it will begin next week, so now we call it a plan.
After how many other cows have died?
Yeah, see now next week.
I don't really want to hear about this plan.
Even by the time we're talking about it started on Tuesday.
No,
there'll still be issues.
I do not wish to hear about this.
It's not the first time that this off-take program has been mentioned by the government. You can only say that the other off-take programs were meant to target those other counties. Garissa, Wajir, Mandera, going into Tana River, Kilifi. Now we are concentrating into these other new counties, Kajiado, Makueni.
It's a very sorrowful situation.
No. It's not even tragedy, it's criminal. You can have mobile abattoirs, for heaven's sake. What are these people talking about?
It's okay.
You don't have to walk the cows or drive them by lorries from God knows where to where. You can go to where they are.
It's okay. We don't know whether
it's the logistical inconsistencies that
we don't know whether KMC will do the mobile abattoir issue. The thing is, are they buying the cows? I don't trust that 350 million shillings will go towards actually purchasing cows from those that need their cows purchased.
Also, what's the time frame for this relief? Because it's relief. Right?
Until the money is finished.
And relief now.
Yeah.
After.
So how much meat as a family are we going to get, and for how long will it sustain us?
Processed meat can be made to last long, can be given a long shelf life. That one we get and we understand. You're waiting for disaster to happen until it's slapping you on the face and stepping on your toes for you to act. And you knew this was happening all along, and options have always been there. That's why I don't particularly want to hear this story. Not really.
It's a tragedy of a reactive system rather than one that forestalls disaster.
Indeed, it's quite sad that this is, it's happening now. You can say, indeed, for the person who actually is looking at their herd of cattle and they're dying by the numbers on a daily basis, because that's what's happening. If you hear that the government is going to come and purchase the cows and you don't have to go to the market and beg people to buy them for 100 bob, you're happy. Anything that actually just brings you money for the cow that you have, you're happy. My problem is, can we really trust that this will happen the way it's written on paper?
Eric.
And I have a feeling it will not.
Eric, how long has this drought lasted? When did we know cattle were dying? When did we know all this was happening? Was Kenya Meat Commission instituted last week? What have they been dealing with? Have they been selling ballast and sand, and they've now started processing meat?
Nobody was anticipating anything.
Livestock offtake against it is not new. It's been happening.
That's the sin.
Keep it here for more conversations coming up in the next hour. We talk about this thing called the what? The Hustler Fund. Good morning, 7 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Nizo. I'm Dennis Aseto. As the EAC region continues to search for regional peace, President William Ruto gave an assurance that Kenya is committed to ensuring that peace returns to the Democratic Republic of Congo. Ruto spoke when authorizing the KDF Defense Forces to leave the country for the Democratic Republic of Congo following the ongoing fighting between the M23 militia and the government forces.
The DRC has made encouraging steps to stabilize, create national capacity to provide security services, as well as guarantee opportunities for its citizens. The country remains, however, burdened with serious challenges, and I believe that we owe a brotherly duty of solidarity to meet DRC halfway and stand together until the job is done. The situation in Eastern DRC remains fluid at the operational and even at the diplomatic level.
The president said that the countries of the East African community agreed to send more troops to the country, saying that he has contacted all stakeholders about the operation.
I am confident that you understand the immense nature of the mission you are about to embark on and the expectations that come with it. Your resolve to always execute your mandate, often in unforgiving situations and conditions, to the highest standard, has earned the Kenya Defense Forces accolades in missions abroad and ensured the same back home, thereby making Kenya a beacon of peace, freedom, and hope.
He advised the soldiers to ensure that they comply with all international laws when they continue with the security operation in the country. Apart from the M23, the DRC army is also facing the task of confronting the Islamic State, Allied Democratic Forces ADF group, and several other armed groups. Still on matters security in the East Africa community, and Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed hailed the breakthrough deal with the Tigrayan rebels for a cessation of hostilities after two years of conflict and vowed it would be implemented. Abiy took power in Ethiopia in April 2018, pledging a raft of political and economic reforms in Africa's second most populous country after almost 3 decades of government domination by the Tigray peoples. He won the Nobel Prize in 2019 for initiating a rapprochement with neighboring Eritrea, a feared player in the conflict against the Tigrayan rebels. But in November 2020, he sent troops to topple the TPLF in their Tigray stronghold after accusing the group of launching attacks on federal army camps. Former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo is the AU broker for the talks.
It's the beginning of a new dawn for Ethiopia, for the Horn of Africa, and indeed for Africa as a whole. Let me hasten to thank God for this new dawn. We have seen in practice and actualization what we have tried to achieve for ourselves over the years, and that is African solution for African problems.
And 5 principal secretaries who served under former President Uhuru Kenyatta are set to continue serving under the current regime. This is if they sail through the vetting process to be conducted by the relevant departmental committees of the National Assembly and then names approved by Parliament. The 5 are among 51 people that have been nominated by President William Ruto for the much coveted position that attracted more than 9,000 applicants. Notable among the nominees is the current PS in charge of Regional and Northern Corridor Development, Belio Kipsang, who is headed back to the State Department for Basic Education. Environment and Forestry PS Dr. Chris Kipto is added to the National Treasury after he was nominated in the same position. Two serving PSs are set to retain their current positions. They are Charles Inga, who is the Principal Secretary in charge of State Department for Housing and Urban Development, and Hari Kimutai, who is in charge of the State Department for Livestock Development. The current devolution PS, Julius Korir, is headed to the office of the Deputy President. This is after he was nominated in the same position to be in charge of State Departmental for Cabinet Affairs. Now, Foreign and Diaspora Affairs Cabinet Secretary Dr. Alfred Mutua has flown to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in a bid to address the plight of mistreated Kenyan migrant workers in the Gulf state. This follows a commitment the CS made last month when he appeared before Parliament for vetting, in which he vowed to prioritize the issues should his nomination to the Foreign Affairs Ministry be approved by the House. This is Newswire. Dennis Asada, good morning.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
So let me tell you about the traffic and how it's looking like. It's beginning to build up, yes, on Thika Superhighway. Stretches all the way back into Utalii now. Kiambu Road stretching into Kenya Pipeline, the DCI headquarters. Limuru Road is busy on both sides, starting from the Wambugu Lane to 1st, 2nd and 3rd Parklands Avenues. If you get onto Jogoo Road is busy all the way from the Manyanja Road Junction into Jogoo Road, into Hamza, comes towards the City Stadium roundabout. Mombasa Road is busy as you approach Lusaka Road. Langata Road is also very busy as you approach Timol roundabout. Ngong Road is moving smoothly, just Mbagathi Way at a City Mortuary that's busy. If there's any major thing that we need to talk about, please let us know and we will alert everybody else at SpiceFM KE on Twitter. You know what? It's 7 minutes after 7 on the 3rd day of November 2022. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. If you're just joining us, this is the second hour of the conversation today. Happy Thursday. It's Justice Thursdays. We'll be having a Justice Thursdays conversation at 9 a.m. For now, we'll have a conversation about owning a home. We've been telling you about the Kenya Mortgage Refinance Company. Yes, you know about that. So Kenya Mortgage Refinance Company is owned by government and 9 banks and 11 Saccos. What you just need to do is you go to one of those Saccos and you tell them, nataka ile deal ya KMRC. They give you a home loan for below 10% interest rate, which is going to be fixed for the entire duration of the home loan, which can stretch up to what? Up to 25 years. We'll tell you some of those Saccos and banks. One of them is called Imarisha Sacco. And the boss of Imarisha Sacco is here with us in the studio. So we'll talk about how you can own a home. We help you own homes. And also we'll tell you how you can take advantage of the soon coming Hustler Fund. Before we welcome our guests, let's hear the day's proverb, City.
Yes, we're still in the land of the pharaohs. Egypt. Every man is rich in excuses to safeguard his prejudices and his instincts.
It's a long proverb. But
oh, no, this isn't long, my friend.
Sounds like somebody who's just, sounds like a rant.
There's a proverb that I read from Chad, which was a paragraph of something like around 7 lines. Paka, you wonder, okay, why are you calling it a proverb?
You think you woke up today. Let me tell you, you did not wake up today. what you did today.
Yes. When the zebra crossed the road, and you're asking, okay, make up your mind. Is it my sleeping or is it the zebra?
So every man is full of excuses when it comes to safeguarding his
prejudices and his instincts. You see, when I read this proverb, the thing that occurred to me is what brought this about? Because proverbs emanate from experiences. Something happens over a period of time and people want to encapsulate it in a statement, either as a warning or it's something that ought to inform you. So you want to shorten that entire experience into a statement or a sentence, or just a few words.
Yes.
And I haven't arrived at a point where I can actually understand what it is that brought this. But
sounds like a rant.
Yeah, on the surface of it, we all have excuses. We all kick the can down the road.
It's true.
Okay, it is so and so who did this, and we start as children.
So let's go around the room and hear what people think. Our guest host today, Daisy Maritim. What do you think is the meaning of this proverb?
First of all, I'll say that proverb holds a lot of truth. Because I think as human beings, we are engineered... City is laughing.
I'm smirking. I haven't started laughing yet.
As human beings, we are engineered to be predominantly inward-looking. So our perspective is permanently dominant. It takes being deliberate to actually shift perspective, number one. But number two, what that proverb is saying, I think, is that it's hard to let go of beliefs. It's hard to, yeah.
Right.
It's hard to shift perspective.
You always have an excuse why you should remain with.
It is counterintuitive to people to
think outside the box.
Yes.
That's a good one. Tim Kipchumba, who is a policy analyst and aspirant for the Elgeyo Marakwet senatorial seat. Good morning, man.
Good morning.
Welcome back to the Situation Room.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again.
That proverb.
I think it's true. We are in love with what we think, with our worldview of the world. And I think it takes a lot of empathy and a lot of listening
to think
be
outside the box.
Understanding in us to say, you know what, just maybe I might be wrong. I think another most unique thing to find out is people that say they don't know. In fact, when we used to hire in our company, we would look for people that can say, I don't know. 3 Kenyan proverbs. 3 Kenyan proverbs, yeah. Honest politicians, people that can say, I don't know, and then people that can actually answer their question, where are you? Without saying, I'm coming.
Thank you, man. Then we also have another guest in the studio this morning. Charles Igay is a director and a treasurer at Imarisha Sacco. Good morning, Charles.
Good morning, listeners.
Karibu sana to the Situation Room. Welcome to the hot seat. You're actually the one who is in the hot seat. Everybody else is a guest.
Thank you so much. I don't know how to cool it. And we'll move on. Perhaps you can read it once more for our listeners to get it right.
Every man, this proverb is not gender sensitive. Every man is rich in excuses to safeguard his prejudices and his instincts.
This is where you want your boundaries safeguarded. But you are doing it out of, it may not be good intention, malice, you don't want to assist any other one, you just want to live in your own world. But at the same time, nobody wants his own things like giving out on the road and everybody like collecting and doing that. You safeguard. I safeguard Marisha, for example. I don't allow guys to come around jokingly.
Right. Tell us about Imarisha Sacco. We'll be talking about in greater detail because you're one of the shareholders of Kenya Mortgage Refinance Company.
Yes.
But tell us about the Sacco itself. Introduce us to the Sacco.
Wow. Imarisha Sacco was Kipsigis Teacher Sacco long ago, 1978. It has come all along. We had around 100 members. We are talking of 160,000 members right now, running across I can say the world. We have over 2,000 members in the USA, also in Australia, Canada, outside Kenya. Right now we are 19.1 billion asset base, and we are the
again
19.1
yes,
billion.
19.1 B.
Okay, I had 1.9. Yes, okay.
Asset base.
Asset base. And we are ranked number 7 in the Republic of Kenya among us what we call the national Saccos. We are not a national Sacco. National Saccos are those like Police Sacco, Harambee. They have branches all over. After them is Marisha. So from the county Saccos, we are number 1. And you are dealing.
And this is number 1 in what? In asset base, in membership?
In asset base. We look at the asset base. That is where the economy of the Sacco is seen. And that's why the ranks are done along that line.
When you say asset base, what do you mean?
It's about property that you have in terms of the main property here. We are talking of loans and the loan book, and other properties that you have in terms of taking care of members. All these are members' properties. So that is where we are.
So properties as in fixed assets?
Yes, they are all in fixed. They are in shares. They are in deposits and all that.
What about running business entities?
Yes.
Do you own cafes? Do you own forex bureaus? Things like
Petrol station.
Petrol station.
They do have a beautiful building in Kericho.
Yes, one of the tallest, around 11-story, which we rent out. It belongs to the members. It's worth almost 1 billion, and among others. So what we are talking about is our core mandate, and in cooperatives and in Saccos, is about loaning.
Yeah.
Not much about any other thing. Maybe if you are running business, is where you are letting, like what we are doing in Kericho now. And it is because it belongs to the members. They constructed it.
Yeah.
And by the way, when you are in that building, should you come, I'm made to understand you are my neighbor somewhere.
No, you and I are neighbors, actually.
Yeah.
I pass your place on my way to
So next time, give me a call.
Yes.
When you bring my brother here.
To Pelekwe tour your building.
Tour. We have the state-of-the-art customer experience center. Guys from all over Nairobi and outside Kenya are being brought to come and see what we do. And a 24-hour call center. Yeah. So our members from the diaspora can call us any other time.
Can I ask a politically incorrect question, just because we were having that conversation about regional balance earlier? How diverse is your membership?
We are all there. All the tribes of this republic. All the ladies, all the gentlemen, all the young men and women. They are all
And
there
others.
and they are members. By the way, you'll find I know you are
Is there a dominant?
Because we are starting with Kericho teachers.
I know you are leaning towards maybe how our ladies performing there. Can I tell you?
No, I'm actually leaning towards, because it started as Kipsigi's Sacco.
All right.
Yeah, so
All right.
because of its heritage, is it predominantly Kalenjin membership? That's what I'm asking.
Oh no, it used to be, but when we changed, when we branded to Imarisha, because we wanted to move further than that.
Yeah.
Can I come with Kipsigi's teachers and establish it in Kisumu or in Mount Kenya? They won't accept it. So we changed the name so that because we were focused. Earlier on, we have so many Saccos around, teacher Saccos, that were based at their own home background.
Okay.
And that is why when he changed, all members came like everybody now. Perhaps if we have the Kalenjin or something like that, the ratio is almost 60-40, or otherwise 50-50. Everybody is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody is there.
But also, as you were speaking, what I thought was, now I'm speaking as a former teacher. Okay?
Oh.
When you hear teachers Sacco, teachers, the teaching fraternity, you were never really posted because
That
of
is
your ethnicity.
true.
You were taken where you were taken.
Across the country, yes.
So if it's a teacher's Sacco,
The original delocalization.
exactly, you are likely to be representative of the whole country.
Yes.
And that
is
practice was mirrored also at the student level, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
So Imarisha is one of the shareholders of KMRC.
All right.
So I can imagine that one of the products that you have is a home loan and home ownership program. Tell us about that.
Yeah, true. KMRC, Kenya Mortgage Refinance Company, is a government-owned and run, and we bought shares there, and we are part, and a few Saccos. It's on the basis of owning homes, as you've said. And this is where we are talking about constructing homes and maybe selling to the members of those who want. And there's also, when you are a Sacco like us, you have the option of taking loans from us, practically and meant for the home construction. And here we are talking about urban, but KMRC has also moved and accepted that some towns are so small. It was actually aimed at construction on the urban areas. But we have moved further than that. KMRC now is focusing even in the rural, where you can do a very good home, and through the tailor-made loan in KMRC, members are able to construct at whatever level.
Ordinarily, what kind of loans do your members come to take? I mean, what is the reason why they come and take loans from your Sacco?
Generally, we have almost 28 products, for example. These are there are those that are common. You were once a teacher, always a teacher. You'll never run away from that.
That's absolutely true.
And you find that we have the normal loans, that is for development, construction and all that, emergency loans. But now there are those that are tailor-made to your members, specifically. There are those that you can even go for 24 months. Even when we are talking about the Hustler Fund, we'll mention even what we call Sacco loan. A mother, may I not say a mother? There are so many. When we say Sacco, we are like ladies going there. But even kuna wanaume siku hizi hapo.
Wanauza, yes.
Wanauza. So you come in the morning, apply for your Sacco loan, tunakupea 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, get your chair, go and sell in that market. By Friday, you repay. So you can wake up without any money. At the end of the day, you have a few merchandise, you sell. By Friday, you repay. So that is what we do. There is so much we do in Marisha. We give loans up to 96 months. We also do mortgage and all that. I'm talking because many Saccos, some of them do that, some of them don't do. But we have gone that far. Yeah.
When one talks of Saccos, my mind went back to, in fact, it's odd, when I was looking at the people we were having as guests this morning. Oddly enough, this was around 2:30 in the morning. My mind went back to a time when we had a certain commissioner for cooperatives called Alfred Birgen.
All right. I know him.
That man shook up. I mean, the cooperative was like some sleeping giant at that point in time. Then this gentleman came in and suddenly people became very aware of what Saccos were and what Saccos could do. And then I look at the history of Saccos and I realize that the financial institutions that most Kenyans in this country appreciate are Saccos. It's something they can relate to easily.
Absolutely.
Yes. And if I look at statistics and the data that's available, when I look at the default rates of Saccos, it's one of the lowest in the financial sector.
Correct.
Yes. Probably it's because of the way they guarantee the loans.
Probably. Is it that, by the way?
And by the way, it's because the Sacco is owned by the members. And here, people like going to the Saccos because, do you know, in other financial institutions, it is a straight line. It's either you qualify or not. It's either you know this or you don't know. But in Saccos, you can say, okay, can we circumvent? We are not breaking the bylaw, but we can circumvent until you get something small. And the Saccos are also in a leeway. For example, in Marisha, we have something. We are the only one doing that. We have what we call a welfare known as Pongea, where we take our members to hospitals. After they have used their covers, insurances and all that, if exhausted, Marisha comes in. For example, cancer cases, we pay up to 1.5 million for our members.
Wow.
And we give them 300,000 for upkeep. Cancer is becoming so prevalent.
Yep.
And many homes are lack property, they sell and everything, they remain without anything. Marisha comes in. We take you any hospital of your choice. Here in Kenya, we have MOUs all over. For other ailments, or diseases that are more of chronic, I don't know how to use that word, we pay up to 1.2 million to our members. We are the only ones, by the way. And good enough. We have extended the same to people who are addicted to alcoholism. They want rehabilitation. We pay for them, for our members. And for, do I say the ladies of families who are not lucky enough to have children in the normal way? We do IVF, in vitro fertilization, and we pay for them up to 1.2 million. Do you know we have around 25 children to 30, actually 27.
They would not have otherwise been born.
Who would not have been born, and here is a mother family who have had their children. They are called Marisha babies.
Marisha babies.
Yes.
I am so extremely impressed.
We normally go and celebrate them.
Yeah, to be honest, I think that it's very difficult to tell the default rate of SACCOs. I think it's, as SACCOs is one area that needs a little bit more legislative oversight. SASRA is trying its best, but it's the most important movement in uplifting people. SACCOs, 1 trillion asset base, 400,000 people employed, 22,000 cooperatives. But today you can never tell, because there is no technology, the law is not yet improved to actually protect member savings, because most of it is still Sacco reported. SASRA can only tell you what the Saccos tell you.
So they don't
We've seen failures of Saccos in the last couple of years. The level of stringent regulatory environment required of a movement that is handling a trillion shillings, Saccos are still far behind. In that sense, the regulatory environment and the regulatory framework is still far behind. The level of audit required, the technical audits that are required in terms of IT, I think SACCOs could use a bit more support. Is it a fantastic movement? Of course it's a fantastic movement. I just think that if we are not careful, as we have seen in the last couple of years, members could lose significant value, and you wouldn't otherwise know until the moment comes. That's not true. That's not true.
Not yet. I want to ask Tim the question. Maybe that's the reason why SACCOs are so attractive. Because they don't have that stringent regulation. They're not overly regulated.
But the regulation is not so much. It's members that are saving. You have to at least protect their savings.
Tim, let me ask you this question. As you're going forward, your point is really very well made. But look at fintechs. Okay?
Yeah.
In terms of the business that they do, how many trillions is it?
We talk about the mobile lenders.
Yes, the mobile lenders. Look at. I'm speaking anecdotally here. Look at, say, M-Pesa.
But that's fine. That's their own money. This one is members' money.
Precisely.
Yeah.
I am simply saying members' money should be of more concern, if not the same concern. This is really where I'm going with this.
Exactly.
Because people who save there, that's all they have. Most people, there's nothing more they have beyond what they have in the Sacco, so it should be protected more.
Absolutely.
So I was simply asking this question with that as a reference. If you look at the net worth of that particular industry, okay, what sort of regulations do you think would bring about the safeguards that you're talking about?
One of them is technology. Technology-related standards. Just the same way banks are required to meet certain level of stringent audits on their technology. Okay? Real-time access to... Central Bank has real-time access to your cash balances, to your assets, so that every time you miss ratios, you are able to... You either have to ask for support from them, or you ask for another bank to give you support, or something like that. Right now, you can't tell that from the SACCOs. Yet, SASRA already requires of that, but the Act requires of that. But they don't have the capacity to implement that.
And yet, banks collapse with all this oversight.
I would like to say this. It's not like even when we didn't have SASRA. Right now, we have a regulator whom we report to them on a daily basis. and they are able to detect where there is anything wrong. And by the way, where there is no goodwill, where people want to finish anything, even the banks that are so regulated, we have seen them collapse. So it's about the goodwill and more regulation. I agree with you. I don't deny that. But where we are now, it is far better than that.
It's a really interesting conversation because at the DNA of a Sacco, it is community-based, it is trust-based. And it is also, part of its formation is about moving away from the intimidating nature of the bank. There's something that you said, that the rules are not linear. You can negotiate based on your circumstance. So I think it's about finding that balance of regulation that is not too stringent that it chokes you, but at the same time offers protection to the
So let me give you an example. Even without embedding
members' money,
embedding additional legislative. Right now, what he's saying is right. They are required to report every day. But if you compare the self-reported numbers vis-a-vis the real numbers, you can't. And the only way to have to see cash balances is to have real-time technology. Is to have SASRA have access, supported by legislative framework to the cash balances of every Sacco. Because if you allow the dogs to carry the sausages, of course they never get to the other side.
I agree with you. Real time.
You have to have real-time access to the information that the regulator is seeking. We don't have that framework today. That's an opportunity to say, you know what, Saccos are doing a fantastic thing. All we want is sunshine.
In that fantastic thing. Let us take a break.
How I pray you win your
the Senate bill.
the Senate, and then you go and start from there.
Absolutely.
I'll really wait for that.
Let's take a break. Charles Sigei is the director and treasurer at Imarisha Sacco, one of the shareholders of the Kenya Mortgage Refinance Company. We are talking about owning a home, management of Saccos, and then looking at the other giant Sacco that's going to be launched on the 1st of December, the Hustler Fund. And what we should expect from it. Tim Kipchumba is a policy analyst and he is an aspirant for the Elgeyo Marakwet senatorial seat. He'll be telling us about that. And we also have Daisy Maritime Miner. She's our guest host today. Keep it here for more conversations coming up throughout the show. We'll also tell you about The Room, where you go and you get the best tech talent. And Tim will be telling you about The Room. He's a tech guy. He'll tell us about The Room. The Room Global at The Room Global, theroom.com. Good morning. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
We know it is cold, but Cold Stone Creamery has hot deals for you. This month, enjoy cups of rich and creamy ice cream, delicious ice cream cakes, and fresh oven-baked cakes at amazing prices. Visit any of our stores in Nairobi or Mombasa and indulge in your favorite treats. Cold Stone Creamery, the ultimate ice cream experience.
It's 2022. My friend, bado unalipa rent? It's time to say goodbye to your landlord and say hello to your own home, courtesy of the Kenya Mortgage Refinance Company. Hapa KMRC tumeiweka visimple sana. You can now own a home through our affordable home loans at fixed, less than 10% interest rate and for a longer repayment period of up to 25 years. Tumepartner with your local banks and Saccos for this. Unangoja nini? KMRC inakusort na dream home yako. Kulipia nyumba yako ni kama tu kulipa rent. Visit www.kmrc.co.ke to see the participating banks and Saccos na uanze maisha yako in your own keja. Jijenge na KMRC. Rent yako, keja yako. Kenya Mortgage Refinance Company is regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya.
Everyone remembers the ambition they first had when they started their business.
A business holds promise. An idea could blow up and change lives anywhere on the planet. But the best idea is not worth much if it can't be executed by a solid team. Introducing The Room, the talent solution that provides a global network of tech talent, relationships, and resources dedicated to drive growth and innovation in your business. Hire tech talent and pick from qualified software engineers, cloud developers, web developers, and data analysts, all vetted and trained to Silicon Valley standards. The way we work has changed, and subsequently, so should the way we hire. Visit theroom.com today and discover how we can improve.
Let me tell you about the weather. All right, so Nairobi, light rain today, highs of 22. Mombasa, mostly sunny, highs of 30. Malindi, mostly sunny day as well, highs of 30. Partly cloudy in Kisumu, highs of 28. Nakuru, light rain today, 23 is a high. Nyeri, light rains at 19. Kampala, Uganda, rain at 26. Light rain in Dar es Salaam at 31. Johannesburg, light rains at 21. Kinshasa, light rain at 30. And if you go to Lagos, Nigeria, light rain at 32. Paris, light rain at 14. London, light rain as well at 13. Beijing, China, sunny afternoon at 14. And New York, mostly clear skies at 21.
I know the sun is out in Nairobi at least. As you tembea, be careful. Manchester United are trying to sign anyone. Watch out where your children are. Please hide yourselves.
Sugar and spice.
I reached a point where suicide things were just going south completely. Something stopped me.
Nairobi.
We are bang in the middle of it, and this is when it gets very, very busy. All roads are looking busy. Mombasa Road heading towards Nyayo Stadium, it's busy. The roads inside South Sea and Nairobi West, that's Mohoho Avenue, very busy. Langata Road is not looking so bad as you approach Timor roundabout, but Mbagathi Way is busy as you approach the City Mortuary roundabout. Ngong Road is also busy at the lights. Thika Superhighway, the traffic stretches back now. It's touching the Outer Ring Road junction. Be patient. Kiambu Road, it's going all the way back towards Muthaiga North Road. Limuru Road is also very busy on both sides coming towards town. Wayaki Way heading into town is busy. Jogoo Road, you know what happens on Jogoo Road every morning. It's also busy. Manyanja Road is busy. North Airport Road is busy. Donholm Savannah Road is busy. Eastern Bypass is getting busy all the way as you head towards the North Airport Road junction. So be patient wherever you are. Things are moving. But if there's anything we ought to talk about and alert everybody else about, please let us know at SpiceFM KE.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. SpiceFM.
Spice up your life.
We continue the conversation at 23 minutes to 8. We have guests in the studio today. Daisy Maritim Maina is a governance expert. She is our guest host throughout the show today. And the guests for this hour include Tim Kipchumba, who is a policy analyst and aspirant for the Elgeyo Marakwet Senator seat. And we also have Charles Sigay, who is the director and treasurer at Imarisha Sacco. Let's talk about saving and the savings culture, because that's what we're discussing. So even the president is saying, we've got to really, really think about our savings. Kenyans already are ahead of that, because if you talk about like how much Kenyans have put in savings, 1 trillion shillings is no small change. It's a regulation conversation that Tim you're talking about, but also looking at the various products. I'd like to switch quickly into the Hustler Fund.
Maybe just before that,
yes,
I think it's absolutely fair to appreciate, the Sacco movement. Number one globally,
Kenya's
number
Sacco
one in
movement.
Africa, number 7 globally. Our movement, Sacco movement, $1 trillion Kenya shillings in assets, 400,000 people employed in it, 30% contribution to GDP. The 55% membership is male, so you have a reasonable, it's actually close, very close to gender parity. So we really must appreciate the Sacco movement. I don't think Kenya would exist without the Sacco movement, and everything must be said. So even any legislative endeavor, any legal requirement that we bring to support SACCOs has to come with that in mind, to say how can we actually get more young people in it, because right now the median age for SACCOs is predominantly older now. It's no longer the young people. How can we get more women into the Sacco movement, and then how can we actually increase SACCOs contribution to the GDP? How can we raise that contribution from 30% to 35%. And I think the answer lies not just in regulatory support, but in technology. Okay, get more SACCOs to be more efficient. Okay, so that their process for origination for loan, the process for processing for loans, and then subsequently the process for dispersing. And I think that builds the conversation around what I really hope Hustler Fund can do. Not necessarily to replace SACCOs or to replace banks, but to supplement and complement what they currently do. Because Sacco Fund, the Hustler Fund is significant. Okay, you look at the size of the Hustler Fund, it's sending a message. The Hustler Fund will be bigger than CDF is today. Okay, Hustler Fund will be nearly 15 times 150 billion Kenya shillings is more than what was dispersed in the last 15 years on all the other funds, WESO Fund, Women, WEF, all the other funds that were supposed to support SMEs. So what the president, I think, is saying is that, he's making the point that because a significant portion of our source of job employment, 80% of it is coming out of SMEs, I need to do anything that I can, because 68% of all SMEs say that the biggest challenge is capital. So, I mean, just to really, really appreciate the Sacco movement, just so that, I don't want... I don't want...
It has not come out that way, Tim. Don't worry. We know what you're saying. We know what you're saying. The Hustler Fund, like you said, is going to be a big one. From what you're understanding, I'm just going to start with you, Daisy. What do you understand the Hustler Fund is going to look like from what the president has said so far? If you look at what he said the other day on Mashujaa Day, and he said, so we're going to start it up in December. We encourage people to save into it. Part of that saving goes into their pension, and then the government will also then support through it, and you'll be able then to access a loan out of it. It sounds like a Sacco.
It does sound like a Sacco, and what we should also point out is that perhaps because there's still some elements that are not clear about the Hustler Fund. We've been getting information in drips, and some of that information, from the president there's also been a shifting of goalposts, because our understanding of what the Hustler Fund was going to look like initially was that it was going to be interest-free credit, but now we know that an interest will be charged. Which makes sense, because 10%. Like many other funds, it should have a revolving element, right? That the fund continues to increase so that other people can access it going forward. But from my understanding also of the Hustler Fund, even the title Hustler, we are made to understand, is those people who are in business enterprise. And the president said that this fund will particularly target those ones who are in smaller and micro businesses, like boda bodas and mama mbogas and whatnot. But there's also a segment of young people who are getting into business. I know that one emerging detail is that what the president had said would provide eligibility for those who want to get access to the funds would be being a part of a Sacco, isn't it? Because then that Sacco would guarantee or provide collateral for the fund. But one free advisory that I would give towards the Hustler Fund, particularly that which is targeting enterprise amongst young people who are starting business, small and micro business, is some sort of complementary service from the government in terms of business development services.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why? Because then this goes towards ensuring that there's lower rates of default. You're basically safeguarding this fund by ensuring that these businesses that are actually going to be started or that are going on can grow, that these guys are getting access to entrepreneurial training, to managerial training for their small businesses, to credit management, or even facilitation of access to markets. So I think that's a missing element in this Hustler Fund conversation.
How is a Sacco like Imarisha going to be part of the Hustler Fund?
I think even those guys who have no idea about SACCOs will be forced to understand this time around when we are talking about the Hustler Fund. Do you know that there are people who don't know in this republic how SACCOs like, and of course there are few. Now what will happen is this: we were with the CS yesterday, and we got an opportunity to understand how they want us to go about it. I know they are passing the legislation on 27th. Around there, thereabout. What will happen now? First of all, it is not any other Sacco that we see, that we hear, who will benefit from this. It will be deposit-taking Saccos. They are called DT Saccos. These are that are regulated by SASRA. So all these others forming those groups and all that, calling them Saccos, well and good. But now from the Hustler Center, the kitty, the money will be dispersed to deposit-taking Saccos, who, through their regular framework, already like us, we exist in the MSME. We have a fully fledged department with staff. We have been doing that. The Hustler Fund will be channeled through us all the way to the members, using the procedures and regulations and the laws that we use as a Sacco to do it even right now. We disperse the Sacco loans, we disperse the house loans, we disperse the coffee, the farmers, all the farming, including our Mua. We have Mua loan. We are in Awasi, by the way, in Kisumu. We give these guys their small loans through the MSMEs. So we disperse the money to reach them through their societies. But now, in the societies, for example, the coffee societies outside their cooperatives, they are members of Imarisha, and we recognize them. So when we disperse these funds to them, it is down there now, they know whom are we giving from here. So that is why those groups that they are forming are also very important. And of course, they are registered. Using our knowledge down there, we will always follow them. We shall educate even the more, and we shall catch up with them. We know those who are good in repaying. We know those who are not. There are also the startups. You know, it is not very easy to fund a startup business. But the Hustler Fund will be tailor-made in a way. They'll give us the regulations now, or how they want us to do the startups, and we shall follow. So, all is said and done is about the credibility of those groups down there, whom we know as Saccos, on how to give and disperse these Hustler funds.
So the final disbursement is on the Saccos themselves?
Yes.
It's a Sacco that determines who to disburse to and how much?
Exactly.
And does the Sacco then have extra mandate to ensure collection and repayment?
Yeah, that is why, especially for those Saccos who are in MSMEs right now, like us, it is us who have the mandate, because the Hustler Fund at wherever it will be will be looking at the Sacco who was given the money to disperse. They don't know the other person on the other end. The Saccos they'll have the duty of going for that money for their funds. So we have a lot of work, by the way.
The current guaranteeing scheme in the Sacco is where, you look at the deposits, you look at being guaranteed by your fellow members, and in the event of default, we go for deposit, then we go to your guarantors to ask them to repay. Is it going to apply the same way for the Hustler Fund?
Basically, what happens is the groups will be formed. They'll have their bylaws and how they are going to follow. They must also demonstrate how they are going to have their members repay the money in their bylaws. So the repayment will be basically, that is why we need the chairman, the leadership of those groups are people of integrity. That's what we tell them. It's not very easy, by the way. It is not very easy. But at the end of the day, we will do it the way because we are already in it.
Yeah.
We are already giving members, lending the groups. And the same will happen.
You already have a system, a functioning system.
Yeah, functioning system.
Fully You look concerned.
Sorry?
City looks concerned.
You know, I'm listening to what my namesake here is saying.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that part of the problem we have when dealing with finances are the literacy levels that our citizenry have when it comes to financial matters and the management of this same finances.
True.
And from what I hear him saying, an opportunity has arisen now where when one works with all these other groups, an opportunity to actually get them, the members of these small units, chamas and whatever, to actually be better versed in understanding matters finance.
True.
The discipline of it, the benefits or that accrue from ensuring that you are in tandem with the required regulations and so forth, something which previously has not been available, because we get into the finance sector with the mindset that we've acquired over time, and very rarely is it in tandem with the reality of what institutions have. That's why this conversation of the Hustler Fund, why are we now paying? There's nothing like free money. It doesn't matter what you say.
I think you are coming in very nicely.
Yes.
I want to thank you for that. In fact, everybody now, we are out there. We've been doing education, financial literacy, earlier on to our members. We are going now to be so robust in that field, because it's like everyone says, oh, Hustler Fund, imekuja, it's for free or something like that. That is not the case. So we are going out educating members on financial literacy, on what to do for you. By the way, it is not everybody who is going to get the Hustler Fund. However, it sounds it's like it's money all over. Not everyone will get that. It's only those who are ready. Can I say also, they'll start with steps. There are those that will be handled on the phone, where you can go for the Hustler Fund loan through the phone. That one is left to these big companies to disperse. And then there is also the individual, where one will take on his own individual level. That one will be handled again elsewhere, at the same time in the Saccos. But what we are talking about, and this one needs to be understood, is that the Hustler Fund is meant especially for those people who are down there. They could be having chamas, but they need to understand what lending is all about, what repayment is all about. It's not easy, but we have to do it.
Yeah. No, I think what is exciting, and we shouldn't lose it, is that loans to private sector in Kenya is still a very, very, very tiny portion of our GDP. We are 3 times less than South Africa. We are only 10%, which is even half what was there pre-corporate days. And so there is real demand. There is real demand for credit, affordable credit, and accessible credit. It's not even just affordability. In fact, Kenyans are willing to pay a little bit more if it's accessible. What the president is now saying is that he will take the format where, and at the end you will pay around 10%. And even if it's 12%, it will still be around the cost of a Sacco, what a Sacco would charge you anyway. But at least it would be available. Now, 50 billion, to be honest, is a really great start and an ambitious start. But it's not that much. Remember, loans to private sector last year was 3.2 trillion. And that was not enough. We have markets like South Africa that the loans to private sector is 3 times, 4 times what Kenya is as a proportion of our GDP. But I think the exciting thing, and what I think people should be hearing, is that what the president is saying is that ideas matter and assholes matter. And assholes matter, meaning the people that, remember, we assemble motorbikes in our company, one of our small mobility division, okay? If you sell the bike to someone, you sell it to say 130,000 Kenya shillings, okay? Locally assembled, Kenyan bike, decent bike, 160cc. But by the time they own it at the end of the year, they have paid double. So what the president is saying is that let's find a way of getting that person that money. Can you imagine? Many. Remember, 300,000 motorbikes are sold every year. 300,000 motorbikes are sold every year. Imagine you could save those people 70,000 shillings, 80,000 shillings in interest. That's employment created, because 70,000 all of a sudden is very, 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 very close to minimum wage. Because right now they are making a little bit of money and still pay double in interest. So so I think that's really, I think that the whole point is that I think we really need to get back the country to the place where people are reimagining. Remember, there was a time when Kenya was a leader, world leader, supplying 90% of pyrethrum, and our parents in Leland, in Kaptarakwa, in Kapiego, in many parts of this country relied on pyrethrum to go to school.
Yeah.
70s, 80s, 90s, people were educated through pyrethrum. There was a time when, livestock worked out. Potatoes would actually educate farmers. Mangoes would take kids to school. Right now, last year, say in Elgeyo Marakwet County, a bag of potato was sold for 300 shillings, which is less than 2 plates of chips in Nairobi. Like there is something wrong there. And so what we are now saying is that if we can get more people that are hustlers to participate in the co-creation of wealth, that's a really good thing. And Hustler Fund is promising by saying, you know what, let's just contribute a small, tiny portion, which is honestly less than 5% of the market needed. I spoke to several CEOs of banks and MFIs, and they were like, no, it will start to make a big difference if you start to do more than 250 billion shillings per year. But 50 billion is just a great start. And the bet that the president is taking, and the Kenya Kwanza is taking, is that right now, our second largest import is just oils, edible oils. Okay? Only second to oil. So we import crazy. Nearly 25% of our forex is spent importing oil. Now imagine we could put more money through Hustler Fund into agriculture. Suddenly we can substitute the oil import,
with local production.
Pause. That vision, that picture is beautiful. Especially when you give it 3 to 4D, it is beautiful. There's one component. How do you then partner with people who, like Saccos, who will ensure that the process that is required and the education and the knowledge that is required to carry this thing through? Because people will eagerly get money. But they'll eagerly want money.
It's already happening.
But will they access the money?
Yes.
It's already happening. In my 100 meetings in Elgeyo Marakwet County,
Yes. 100?
asking the 100 meeting last week.
This man counts very well. He's gone to 100. Before the government has gotten the 100 days,
I never finished any single rally without asking young people, asking women, asking them to form groups and inviting them to be part of a group or to be part of a Sacco, and then they can potentially apply for Hustler Fund.
But you see, now this is a work that Team Kipchumba is doing.
But
it's a work that the government
our governors are doing that. The government is doing it. I mean,
Tim, you're an aspirant. You know where we're going with this? People who are actually in positions of power and authority and have the means to.
To be fair to them, all the members of parliament from my constituency, in every meeting
from your county,
and from my county, in every meeting they do, they ask people to.
So beyond talking, what else do they do?
No, I think that's not the point. The real point is this.
Really?
The real point is this: is that Hustler Fund will cost 10%. It's the cheapest amount. It's the cheapest cost of.
How much awareness is there? That's a point. That it is this thing is coming in 3 weeks' time.
Yes.
Yeah.
How many people know that in 3 weeks' time there's going to be a fund, and if you have formed yourselves into a group, if you have joined a Sacco, if you're saving in a Sacco, then it gets you closer to getting access to this money. How many people know that, Tim? Not many. The people that you have been meeting in that last 1 week, they were hearing this for the first time.
Know that.
Yes. What do they know actually? That there's money coming, isn't it?
They know that they need to form a group. They know that they need to start saving in that group. The government will match savings.
The problem is how to manage that money. You are a business person. You know the statistics of how many businesses are started and how many
I'll cut
collapse.
you short, City. Gentlemen, I have to cut you short. Our time
As you are
has just flown like that.
as
We
you
have
are
10 seconds.
I haven't even asked
Imagine.
our aspirant a question.
And yet,
as you are cutting her
and yet
short,
our time is on.
I was going to ask this.
Yes.
Who is a hustler? That is the question that I would have started.
A hustler is everybody.
Ponder that.
Okay. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. Charles Sige is a director and treasurer at Imarisha Sacco, and Tim Kipchumba wants to be the next senator for Elgeyo Marakwet County. He's a policy analyst, he's a businessman, has many things. Daisy Maritime Maina is our guest host. She stays on into the next hour. Good morning, it's 8 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. As the government continues to put its house in order, former East African Community and Regional Development Cabinet Secretary Ednah Mohammed has been appointed by President William Ruto to the President's Council of Economic Advisors. President Ruto's Chief of Staff and Head of Public Service, Felix Koskei, also announced the appointment of Professor Vincent Machuki to the same council. The Head of State has also appointed Bani Silal Lemedeket to the position of the National Police Service Principal Administrative Secretary and Accounting Officer. Silal's appointment comes in line with President Ruto's promise to give financial independence to the police service. And the exercise aimed at anchoring NGCDF into the law continues at the August House, with members of Parliament showing every intent to make the fund meet the constitutional requirements. Matungulu MP Stephen Mule, who sponsored the motion, says changing the constitution in relation to NGCDF fund will help it in its implementation. He adds that the fund is beneficial to constituencies as most pupils are able to get bursaries and school fees.
For the last 5 years, National Government Constituency Development Fund has disbursed 57 billion shillings in terms of bursaries, which has benefited 6 million students in the Kenyan Republic. Secondly, members, National Government Constituency Development Fund has constructed for the last 5 years 24,020 classrooms in different parts of this country to contribute to the education sector.
He states that in the past 18 years, MPs have been able to develop their constituencies through the help of the fund.
Consequently, the fund has increased from that figure to 1.3 billion in 2003, and by 2022-2023, the fund stands at 44.29 billion shillings.
And schools in 10 counties adversely affected by drought are set to benefit from the school feeding program. Education CS Ezekiel Mashugu says the government will ensure no learner misses class due to lack of food. The CS also launched a handbook dubbed History of Kenya's School Meal.
The counties that we are sending food to is Tana River, Garissa, Wajir, Mandera, Turukana, Samburu, Isiolo, and Marsabit. These are counties which have been very much affected by the drought, and as you are aware, there is scarcity of food. We want to make sure as a government that our school-going children have food. There are two modalities in which we give the school feeding program. One is cash transfer, and the other one is in kind. So the one we are giving out today is in kind. We are dispatching 4,313 metric tons of rice. We are also dispatching 1,150 metric tons of beans. We are also dispatching 147 metric tons of vegetable oil.
Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza stormed the news of the County Assembly rejecting 7 out of the proposed 10 County Executive Committee members nominees as shocking, saying she is still healing from it but praying for the MCAs. The MCAs only approved Governor Mangaza's CEC nominees for education, public service and finance, throwing the county boss back to the drawing board. However, to ensure delivery of services to Meru residents is not slowed down, the governor has restructured her ministries by reducing them from 10 to only 6 dockets. She has since assigned the 3 nominees passed by the House other ministries under acting capacity, also designating her deputy governor, Isaac Mutuma, the health docket in the same manner. Governor Mangaza further announced that the reconciliation meeting she recently called with the MCAs and Member of Parliament and Senator at her official residence has been cancelled. This decision, she said, was arrived at after MCAs reportedly turned down her invite, saying they were very busy in their respective wards. Now, Kiambu politician Gladys Chania, the main suspect in the gruesome murder of her husband, was charged yesterday. Chania, who was charged alongside Maurice Kamau Mbugua, denied the charges before Kiambu High Court Judge Mary Kasango. They were both charged with jointly murdering George Mwangi, who worked as a contractor in Rwanda. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
Let me tell you what's happening on the roads. It's crazy. Thika superhighway stretches. It's gone beyond the outer ring junction and it's gone into Ruaraka. So be patient as you use Thika superhighway. Kiambu Road is also crazy because it goes all the way to North Airport Road junction. Limuru Road is busy. Wangari Maathai Road is busy. The Museum Hill interchange is also busy. How's Langata Road coming towards town? It's moving smoothly, apart from just some slight delays around Dam Estate. Mbagathi Way is busy. Ngong Road, busy at the lights. Mombasa Road, busy at the usual spots. And this is as you approach the Southern Bypass. This is City Cabanas. And again, as you approach Imara Daima. South Sea roads were busy earlier, but now they are clearing up. Roads within the CBD, as you approach the Globe Cinema roundabout, it's also busy. Southern Bypass, busy. Manyanja Road and Jogo Road, busy. Be patient. We'll get there. All right, we are on to the third hour of the Situation Room this morning. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. 8 minutes after 8. Happy Thursday, the 3rd day of November 2022. We have new guests in the studio this time. Now that we're talking about saving towards owning a home, saving towards getting some capital in the Hustler Fund, we'll talk about saving towards retirement again, this time through NSSF. NSSF is soon going to start taking 6% of your income as monthly contribution. And this is after the president mediated talks between the NSSF bosses, the employer federation bosses, and the trade union bosses. And they've all said, yeah. So that matter is going to Parliament for ratification of everything. Before we welcome our guests, CT has the proverb.
Every man is rich in excuses to safeguard his prejudices and his instincts.
Every man is rich in excuses to safeguard his prejudices and his instincts.
This is a proverb from Egypt, land of the pharaohs.
Okay.
Otherwise known as pharaohs.
They're called pharaohs.
Pharaohs.
You know that your proverb, City.
This the proverb from Egypt.
From
which I have
Egypt.
This one
Which
is
you have
yours.
read.
Yes, it's in my proverb. Someone's going to think there's a place where I manufacture proverbs and then bring them to the studio every morning.
Isn't there?
No, there isn't.
Anyway, it reminds me of a concept in, I think it's in political theory, fundamentum in concussum, which means a privileged point of view which every human being possesses.
Again, the factotum thing which you said, what was it again?
Fundamentum in concussum.
All right.
Privileged point of view.
From that privileged point of view. Let's welcome our guests. They are from the Central Organization of Trade Unions. One is Dr. Damaris Moheka. She is a program director at COTU. And the other one is the boss of communications at COTU, Bruno Otiato. Good morning, lady and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning, Eric.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. Both of you are occupying the hot seat. In the other hour, we had only one in the hot seat. Daisy is our guest host. She's here throughout the show today. And now we want to talk about saving towards pension. Now, you also, Daktari, sat on the board of trustees of the NSSF. How long was your tenure?
My tenure, I held my tenure since 2014, 2021, last year.
So you can tell us
6-year tenure.
who sits on the board of the National Social Security Fund?
So the NSSF Act provides for a tripartite representation. That's where a provision for workers to be represented. These are the contributors, the employers' representative, and government through the Ministry of Labour.
Okay.
Yes.
Does the law specifically say who will represent the workers?
Yes, the law is very specific, provides for the most representative workers' organization in the country. That is the Central Organization of Trade Unions. Yes.
And how about the employers? Does it also specifically say who this representation is going to be?
The most representative organization of employers.
Okay.
Yes.
So how does COTU pick its person to sit on the board?
It goes. It subjects its nominees competitively. So we have, for instance, during my tenure, we had the Secretary General now, and myself as the CEO, with his wealth of experience in labor matters. I was also competitively selected because of my background in finance and accounting.
I see.
Yeah.
So during your time, this is when the new administration had come in, the Jubilee administration, and they had looked at seeing how NSSF is a sleeping giant. And you needed to wake up this sleeping giant by making sure that it is well capitalized by members' contributions. And the proposal was taken, it went through Parliament, the NSSF Amendment Act went through Parliament to increase the members' contributions. And then the workers' representatives and the employers' representatives objected to this. Give us that background, because there are many people who do not have the background of what exactly happened around 2013, 2014.
You're right. Let me just highlight the background. We are members of the International Labour Organization. And as a country, we have labor standards that we follow to guard our people, to make sure that they are enjoying decent work. And ILO Convention 102 requires us as a country to put mechanisms in place and have social protection floors. Make sure that all our people, all citizenry, enjoy cushioning from any kind of shock. So in 2010, the Constitution pronounced itself that social protection is not a privilege, it's not a political pronouncement. It's a basic right. And therefore, from 2011, we sat as social partners and we drafted the National Social Protection Policy of 2011. And we agreed as partners that we're going to have a life cycle approach to social protection, whereby at every stage of your life, you're cushioned against shocks. Whether at childhood, you have Medicare, you have proper nutrition. At the stage of school going, you are cushioned. The working population, the population that our constituents whom we represent through the trade unions, we also provided for their cushioning. For instance, through work injury benefit, maternity protection, Medicare, and retirement, preparing them for retirement. And then there is old age. So for old age, in 2013, we sat again and we saw a need for us to review the Act, the NSSF Act, from Cap 256 to 58 to NSSF Act of 2013 and its regulations. And the rationale of us reviewing the Act as social partners is because, one, we looked at the issue of age dependency. Generally, Kenya has a critical, an extreme dependency rate, and especially age dependency rate at 81%. Meaning...
What does that mean?
Pause kidogo. Okay. This old age, when does it begin?
Old age.
You have to see something.
I need to understand the relevance of this conversation. Yes. The reason why I asked the question, I'm going to ask about the dependency and what this means, the dependency ratio and so forth. But when does old age begin in your books?
For us, age dependency in the country, according to our National Social Protection Policy, starts at 65.
65?
Yes.
You're not. You are independent.
I mean, independent. Yes.
But generally, from my experience, our productivity slurs at age 60.
Why?
Because of the biological nature of your...
It is odd, you should say that, but research doesn't agree with you. Research finding is that the productivity, if you're talking about a curve, it has an upward trajectory at that very same age that you're talking about. It's just that perhaps with opportunity and policies, it dips because it is you're actually blocked from it altogether.
Daisy, what was that political maxim you said?
Fundamentum in concussum.
Here it is in practice.
Please go on.
Yeah, so that is one, age dependency rate, which is very critical. On an average, we have an average, especially in globally, the average is at 53, but ours is on the edge at 81. Meaning, the 19 of us who are working, our constituents whom we are representing, are feeding or are being dependent upon by 81. Yes. So that puts a lot of strain to the working population. And that's why that can be related to the kind of mental disability that we're looking in the country. Because our pay slips are extremely...
they're hand to mouth.
Hand to mouth. And secondly, our traditional social support systems are disintegrating. Our elderly can no longer depend on us because how our economical status currently. The other rationale was that we needed to include the informal economy workers who the earlier act had not provided for their contribution. And this was a gap, since when you look at our labor market, how it's structured, we have about 85% of our workforce is in Jua Kali, what we call in Kenya Jua Kali. And they were not contributing to this kitty, and therefore leaving them exposed. Then lastly, we needed to expand the social protection coverage vertically by increasing the rate. Because when you look regionally at GSC level, I think Kenya is the least in contribution. Our saving culture is its lowest at 200.
Yeah.
And
You mean
recently,
the formal government-sanctioned savings schemes, because Kenyans do save, not necessarily through NSSF. If you look at the preponderance of Saccos, we do have a saving culture. Yes.
So the long and short here, Dr. Muhika, is that at that point, as trustees of NSSF, you saw a need to address how people can save more, can contribute more towards their pension. So there was unanimity at this point.
yes, there was unanimity because all our initiatives are pillared on social dialogue, where we sit and we agree, we have consensus.
Yeah.
So at that point, we had a consensus
When did you
that we needed to
disagree?
review. The disagreement came on at the point of implementation of the Act, where we looked at the governance structure of the institution and we found gaps. For instance, we didn't have a substantive management trustee, yet we are increasing the contribution rates. So we needed someone who has substantive powers to safeguard the interests of workers. And that was the main issue that we had. The second issue that we had as workers' representative was that there was a breakdown of dialogue. Reason being, there was concerted effort to remove representation of workers from the board. Our two representatives then, in 2013, had been removed from the board. And therefore, we said we cannot allow implementation to go on or rollout of the Act if we don't have proper structures. And we have a weakened governance structure. So that was our dissension.
The point.
Yeah.
May I ask, as a Kenyan worker, to you, my representatives, why at this time when my income is declining because of increased taxes, because of the bad state of the economy,
And growing dependency by the old people.
and growing dependency, and all these other factors that just makes what's in my pocket shrink, why are you agreeing to the increase in the NSSF contributions at this time? And another question, as a political Kenyan worker, is this an expensive apology? Because your boss was one of the loudest, most passionate and abrasive national figures against the now sitting president. Is this an expensive apology at our cost as Kenyans paying the NSSF? And another thing, let me also clarify. Let me also put personal experience into this, saving schemes, and I'll compare it to the NHIF. Now, the NHIF, if you tell me to increase my NHIF, and NHIF is, if I'm very low down in the socioeconomic ladder, for instance, NHIF is one of those schemes that I get very tangible returns, because I go to the hospital, I get admitted, I'm getting my first child, then I realize NHIF is paying 4,000 bob for me per night. So I have a C-section, 4 nights, 3 nights later, that's 12,000 shillings. Tangible, immediate. NSSF is in a future I do not see, where I'm in a present that is so difficult, So the question is, why? Why now?
Why now,
And
Bruno?
is it tone deaf, just based on the present, circumstances that as Kenyans we are enduring? We are not thriving, we are surviving. Why? Our representatives.
Well, I think I understand you, Daisy. That's the question in many Kenyans' minds. And if you want to look at it, I think it's long overdue to begin with. So because, like, I think I was watching sometime in the week the RBA. Someone from RBA was here
yesterday.
And yesterday, right? And he talked aptly. He said, I think there are certain things that are inevitable. First is to pay taxes, and the second one is death. And I think if God gives you life, and I think even City spoke to this, then old age comes. And you with old age, there is everything that comes with old age. So you need to prepare for it. So why now? We feel like this is something that should have begun as early as 2013. If you look back, when NSF began in 1966, they were saving 40 shillings. The employer and the employee 40 shillings also. And then the dollar to the Kenyan shilling was about 1 to 13 shillings. The rates have been since...
Which year was this again?
1966.
66?
Yes.
1 to 13?
Yes.
It was even lower.
Yeah.
Because the shilling, why we call it 20 bob a pound, was the exchange rate then.
Yeah, so you can...
pound.
You can imagine. Then it changed somewhere in 1977 to 80 shillings to 160 to 2001 when we set the 200 shilling rate. In 2001, I think if we were to take into consideration the inflation that has taken into place, if we were to set the 200 shilling in 2001, now it will be about 2,200 shillings. So we are lagging behind in that extent. But why we are so much pushing for it is, number one, I think we need to understand that the deductions by NSF is not a tax. Many people think it's a tax. This is money that you'll get at the end of the day when you retire, when your old age hits. It's money that you go and collect. As much as even this 200 shillings is small, the kind of smile you see in people who, when they get that check of 144,000, having worked for 30 years, they are happy getting it. I know of a man where I come from who got a check of 144 and bought a cow, and the cow is called SSF or something, because they want, it's money he got from NSSF. So there is that. So first, it's not a tax. Is it an expensive apology? No, it's not. I think the media has misconstrued what this is. The president is not, I mean, they are calling it the Ruto's increase, 6%. It's not. This is within the Act. The Act was there from 2013. The president and my boss, Tuoli, they are simply saying the same thing, implement the Act. The Act says 6% employee, 6% employer. And as Damaris was saying, honestly, we are lagging behind in the region. If you are looking at Rwanda, it's about 15%. Uganda is about 18%. Tanzania is 20%. And there is also, for public service workers, it's another 20%. So there is all this, and we feel it's about time. If we don't implement it now, then there won't be another better time to start this conversation, because age is catching up with you at whatever moment that you are. So you better start early.
Yeah. I think there are those concerns because, economists will tell you that pension funds have some vulnerabilities, because they are dependent on economic performance, economic crises. In 2008, OECD countries, those people who are better than us economically, their pension funds lost 23% of their value. So there are those eventualities that can cause reluctance to us as contributors. But the other reality that we should be alive to is that as Kenyans, we live in a very low trust society, especially when it comes to our leadership and us, giving making this, contributing to a scheme, contributing to a kitty that goes to the government, and you're like, is it going to be misappropriated? That is number one. But number two, which is not really you, but a reflection on the Ruto government, is that because this is what you said, people call it the Ruto. It's in the Act, but people are calling it the Ruto increase. And it's a new government that was promising to give. And so people are like, but now not only we can forgive you for not keeping your promise to give, but now you are taking, what I mean. So
the optics.
It's the optics. That's it.
It's
It is the political optics of it, and it has everything to do with timing.
See, when you speak, when you and Daktari speak, you speak sense.
A lot of it.
What you're saying is logical. It's easy to understand. But is it easy to consume? Because if you look at the position we find ourselves in right now, the times when you speak of, okay? 1981, when I graduated from the University of Nairobi with the undergraduate degree, salaries range from 1,500 to 2,000. That was salary per month. Very good salary. Increment yearly guaranteed 200 shillings every year. You mentioned those amounts now, and one wonders, how did you survive? It was a lot of money.
Yes.
Now, you see, when inflation set in and it keeps doing what it's doing, the problem here is at the desk that you occupy and other people like you. It's how you put this message across.
Yeah.
So that it can be consumed easily. When it's thrown at you, then people will look at their circumstances, and that will form the basis and the structure within which they're going to respond to what you're saying. So even if it makes sense and even if it is good, the likelihood of it being accepted, the threshold really becomes very, very low.
So Bruno is the communications
I agree with Citi, because even in the Act, the 6% that you're talking about was not, even now, it won't be implemented in a one,
it's not immediate.
one time. It's not one time.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gradual.
It's gradual. It's to be graduated. Even in the Act, it was supposed to be 5 years, over a 5-year period to implement the 6%. So now Kenyans are hearing of the 6%, and they're thinking this is something that is going to be done now. And I think if we are to look at even what the Act says now, we are not basing it on the basic salary. We are basing it on the minimum wage. So the minimum wage as it stands, it's about 15,000 shillings.
13 still.
Yeah, around 15,000 shillings. And it's, if you are looking at 15,000 shillings, then that's around 1,000 from the employer, 1,000 from the employee, if you are to calculate it in that manner. But many have not. Of course, there is a breakdown of communication, understand, from both the government, employer, employees, and NSSF. And that's something that we are also trying to work on as social partners to address, so that this information is consumed easily. Because now even that UCT understands, it's not, if the government is to start implementing the 6% today, it won't be done with 6% to start with immediate effect. It's supposed to be gradual, at around probably spread through 3 or 5 years.
See, the position the two of you occupy is tricky at best. Because you are now being asked to interpret what politicians say, okay? And how they say it. Okay?
And in fact, then it's also unfair to actually expect those partners to be the ones who are explaining, yet the institution itself has its own management and structures. There's a managing trustee, there's a communication department within the NSSF. So it should not really be the job of Bruno of Kotu to explain how the NSSF is going to implement this. Of course, you've got to explain it to your members, because you owe it to your members. I want us to take a break. Let's take a break. Okay. It's 28 minutes to 9. This is the Situation Room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation. Bruno Tieto is the head of communication at the Central Organization of Trade Unions, KOTU, and Dr. Damaris Muheka is a programs director at KOTU. She is a former NSSF board trustee. Why is KOTU supporting this 6% NSSF deduction on workers' salaries? That's what they're here to explain to us. Then they'll also tell us, because they sit on the board of NSSF, how they safeguard the money that we're taking in there as workers. Have you heard about the new Samsung phone, new Samsung Galaxy A04? The new Samsung Galaxy A04 is sleek, light, compact, and very exciting colors. More than that, the Samsung Galaxy A04 has a 6.5-inch screen that gives you seamless viewing, a 50-megapixel camera for clear and sharp photos and videos, expandable storage, and a long-lasting battery that allows you to do more of what you love for much longer. The conversation here is what you need to do to get yourself this phone. We'll tell you more about it. 27 minutes to 9. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The adults in the room.
I've seen some marriages, relationships, cohabitings struggle because there was no independence of the relationship.
It needs a certain level of intelligence. You need to reach a place where you know yourself, and again, you're not feeding off society.
Whether it is matters of the heart, finances, or work that's weighing on your mind, worry not.
Tune in to Adults in the Room every Monday to Friday from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m.
The adults in the room will help you stay winning. Only on 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Okay, so let me tell you how the weather is looking like today. Rain showers in Nairobi, expected highs of 22. Light rain in Mombasa, 30. Light rain in Nyeri, 19. Cloudy day in Malindi, 30 is a high. Cloudy day in Kisumu as well. Highs of 28. Nakuru, cloudy at 22. Eldoret, sunny at 23. Kakamega, cloudy at 27. Kinshasa is rain showers at 29. Kampala, rainy at 26. Lagos, clear skies at 32. Dar es Salaam, light rain at 28. Johannesburg, South Africa, cloudy at 21. Beijing, sunny at 14. London, rain morning at 13. New York, clear skies at 20. And Paris, light rain at 15. North Airport Road is crazy. It's crazy, especially when you are approaching the junction to Eastern Bypass. It's not looking good at all. And also, at this interchange between the North Airport Road and Outer Ring, it's not good. That's around Feather Estate. Also, Outer Ring Road at Donholm is not good. Lunga Lunga Road is starting to get busy. Jogoo Road is still busy. Outer Ring Road is busy at Thika Road Junction. The Thika Superhighway begins at Drive-In, and this is the GSU headquarters coming all the way to the Kiambu Road interchange is also busy. Langata Road is moving smoothly, but Limuru Road is busy. Uhuru Highway is busy at the main roundabouts. And this is the Museum Hill interchange into University roundabout, into Nyayo House roundabout, into Haile Selassie roundabout as well. Ngong Road busy at Kingara Road Junction and Naivasha Road Junction. Be patient, you will get there. If there's any major accident we need to talk about, at SpiceFM KE, tag us. With 23 minutes to go, we still continue the conversation with Dr. Damaris Moheka from the Central Organization of Trade Unions and Bruno Otiato, who's a communication boss as well. Same organization. One of the big issues that people have with NSSF is trust. Trust that the money is safe. Trust that they're making the right decisions with the investments that they take. And those are the questions that we're also seeing even on social media. Somebody's saying the issue really is not the amount, but the political nature and security of the savings under NSSF. There is fear of misappropriation and misuse of this money. What are you doing in the board of trustees to ensure that this money, you've been in the previous boards that have just overseen the same kind of mismanagement that has led to this kind of mistrust. What's different now?
I agree with you, and I agree with that viewer or listener that generally in Kenya we have a trust deficit, mainly because of historical issues that we have experienced, especially in managing public resources. And that has not, and NSSF has not been an exemption. We've also had issues that eroded trust. However, when you look at the kind of controls that the regulator of pension space, RBA, has put in place, I give an example, the kind of responsibility the trustee holds, whereby you're held, if in case of any misappropriation of contributors' savings, you're held individually culpable and collectively as a board of trustee. And we have experienced trustees in their old age, in their 70s, 80s, when they are very vulnerable, being dragged to court. And that instills some kind of fear that I need to be to act as in trust. RBA requires segregation of roles. Initially, during the 80s, 90s, and early 2000, the trustees were responsible they were directly investing on behalf of the contributors. But currently, there's that segregation. Trustee and the board just gives oversight. Then the administration is given to professionals. For instance, we have custodians. We have fund managers, and we have even a stricter procurement act in place. And I can tell you for sure, among the regulators that we have, especially in the financial sector, RBA is exemptional, and those controls are there, and therefore there's that assurance that whatever the contributors are putting into this fund will be safeguarded and is going to earn an interest.
You know, the problem is never even that, really, because apart from putting up very, very huge structures that NSSF was known for, when it comes to the beneficiaries, the people who actually contributed to that money, the problem has always been when they realize, when they actually get what they're supposed to get. That debate is ongoing. Then the communication that is required about the funds you've saved. You know how anybody that deals with finances is always giving you more information than you need, okay? There'll be an SMS, they keep informing you, they tell you all sorts of things. Now, when someone retires, that's when they most need that money. Now, surely communication about it and what else they need to do, are we saying that it's always forthcoming? Now, you people work for us, the workers, okay? Is it always forthcoming? Do they know? Do they understand? Do you know that when you get to this age, when your money is due, you're told, in a week's time, your check is going to be... Because the stories we hear, horror stories, of people always going to those offices and never quite getting their money. And there's always one story and another and another and another. So, if that isn't sorted out for the workers, and now you as people who work in the organization that's supposed to look after the interests of the workers, that's what's primary. And I mean it's primary. These are the things that is safeguarded. We know it's safe. I mean, where is it going to go? Okay? It's there. It's supposed to be there. And everyone contributes. And it's over a long period of time. So the money just keeps increasing. It's not as though it reduces.
Yeah.
Okay? So, that question. Does Code 2 answer that question adequately? And also, when you look at the cost of living adjustment, the thinking of this pension, will it serve the purpose for which it was intended? Because that 144,000, I'm living in the rural areas, I don't pay for many things, it may sound like a lot of money. 30 years of work. And I get something that someone gets in a week, someone gets in a month, and I work 30 years for it. And in those 30 years, what is 144,000 going to do for you? Sounds like a lot of money.
Hence the dependency that that Terry was talking about. Anyway.
Anyway, you've asked multiple questions. But I can confirm, having served as a trustee, that there's lots of improvement at NSSF as an institution, there were days where one would retire and die before tasting the fruit of their savings. Would have men and women camp at NSSF doors. But currently the turnaround is about a maximum of 14 days, 2 weeks. And you can put up your claim in any branch across the country. If you're in Marsabit, you visit your nearest NSSF branch, within 40 days, you'll have your savings.
40. Or
14.
1-4.
So the problem was institutional efficiency, which is something that has been addressed.
Yes.
To lessen the turnaround time.
And that improvement is mainly because of the tripartite nature of the institution. Because we have observed, and this has been proven, that whenever there is dialogue, whenever workers, employers, and government are sitting on the table, everything is anchored on governance. And good governance requires that we have representation of the people, the subject, or the constituents that that are contributing. And that is the result of the kind of engagement that we had while seated on the table. That kind of improvement, especially on efficiency. Yes.
Yeah, and also what CT pointed out about just the importance of communication and clarity, especially when it has to do with money, because you would be shocked at the levels of misunderstanding that we Kenyans have in the face of such issues. For example, I have heard, opinions of people saying, this is just a strategy for government to raise money we're basically raising money for government budget, including recurrent expenditure. It's because William Ruto can't do what Kibaki and Muraria did in terms of raising money domestically, putting forward bonds for a few Kenyans to raise money. Now they're levying all of us to pay for expenditure, including recurrent expenditure. So this is money that we will not see, So it's also about finding a way to distill that communication in a very consumable format, as Eric was saying, because this is something so fundamental. It's about money. It's about the years of sweat that CT is talking about. It's working 30 years and then not getting what your dues should be. It's heartbreaking and it's devastating.
Something else, Daisy, is when you look at, say, if you talk to the Retirement Benefits Authority, this pension isn't just something you need to wait for until you get to some advanced age.
Yeah.
It can help you do very many other things.
Like home ownership.
Yes, it can. It's a security that you can use to actually do very many things. But if people do not know this, and even when you talk about, even if it was money that the government intends to show up, it's the monies it can access, that is in itself is not a bad thing. You know why? If you look at countries like, say, Japan, people like quoting Japan, where what you're talking about, the debt to GDP ratio is at 200%. But they borrow domestically. Yes, and it's in their currency. So the direct beneficiaries are their people. So if NSSF decide to take our money and lend to the government, whatever bond it is, that interest should accrue to us. So no problem there. But it also means that whatever I'm saving gets better with the years because of that sort of engagement. That isn't a bad thing.
And that is the trust element where I'm saying I am trusting this institution and I'm trusting this government to not only safeguard my money, but to invest so that I'm personally in years to come, I'm getting a return that has doubled my money or tripled my money or has factored in inflation, and that money there in the future will actually be commensurate to my needs.
In fact, Daisy, to make it more interesting, it shouldn't be that if my pension is 2,000 shillings a month, it remains 2,000. Because that 2,000 I'm getting is part of what I've saved. If there is a benefit accruing, because I know people who benefited, where your pension increases. As things change, you suddenly find it's moved to a certain amount and it keeps improving.
Yes.
And that informs the tagline that NSSF uses, growing you for good. So the NSSF wants the responsibility of the trustee or a trustee is one to safeguard and to grow your savings. So that if for instance, you have saved 200,000 shillings, by the time you're retiring, there will be a yield to it. At least 250 by the time you're leaving. So it's expected that we and that's why we are required by the regulator to have investment policies where and they give directions, and every investment opportunity is capped. For instance, you can invest in, let's say, in property to this portion or percentage. You can invest in equity to this extent, or you can invest in treasury bonds to this extent, so that you're not biased. Because we've seen, for instance, in self-help groups and let's say cooperatives, where the representatives or your representatives decide to be biased towards one kind of an asset. They'll go for land. And all your monies are...
It's all tied in land.
Yes, all tied in land.
And that's what NSSF used to do before. So it's, if we look at the current contributors to NSSF, because of the statutory nature, so those who are formally employed must contribute to NSSF. Is there a plan to have voluntary contributors to NSSF, or is that part of
it's in place,
what's allowed?
Yeah.
And so what plans are in place, as far as you know? Because we're not asking you, we understand you're not an NSSF, but what plans are in place to widen that base so that we have more and more voluntary contributors towards NSSF, growing that base as well?
So the Act of 2013 I mentioned was addressing two issues. One, to expand the coverage horizontally to especially our target was to expand it to the informal economy. The 85% of the workforce that is not contributing towards their retirement. And they is provided for their contribution through voluntary approach. And theirs is a provident fund. So once they hit the retirement age, they'll be able to claim, and they are going to receive their savings in lump sum. Then the rest who are formally employed are going to enjoy a pension. But even those that are contributing voluntarily can also have an arrangement, what we call a drawdown approach, where they can also receive some form of pension. Yes.
And the difference here between pension and provident fund being?
The provident, you receive a lump sum.
One
the pension is a monthly.
Okay. There's a lot of awareness that is needed, and this is now I come to you, Bruno. You speak for the workers, you speak to the workers as well. What has Kotu done since that time when there was a handshake in State House to speak to the workers and tell them through the various, of course, you're a federation, so you're a central organization, so your members are trade unions. What have you done to speak to the trade unions so that they can go and speak to their members? So members, everybody understands what this 6% means and the importance of the 6%.
I think this is one of the things we are doing. I mean, we are in a studio talking about the same matter, but over and above that, I think the way Kotu works is that we are like an umbrella body that brings all trade unions together. So they come to us and we have regular meetings with general secretaries of different trade unions. So for instance, this month on the 25th, we'll be having a meeting with general secretaries, I believe. And among the agenda items will be this, to discuss how this information can be cascaded down to members. But other than that, we also do meetings with our shop stewards level to have discussions on this. It's communicated because we have a database of them. So whenever there is need-based communication like this, we try to communicate. And over and above it, I think the representatives of the NSSF who are from Kotu have also been actively involved in I think it's huge because every time they attend these meetings, the board meetings, it comes with a positive impact to the Kenyan workers, because from where we sit, we get also the views of the Kenyan workers, and most of them don't have a problem from where I sit with contributing even 5,000 towards NSSF. They have a problem with the wage. So the problem is, and I think Daisy also asked this question about the current government of His Excellency President Ruto. So the problem they have, and why Kotu is equally in the same bracket as His Excellency, is because he's come out as a more worker-friendly even president than we thought, because he's here championing for social protection. I mean, it's among the key objectives of Kotu as an organization. And in doing that, we are believing, and I think the next conversation now after this is probably how do we move or implement the minimum wage, because we have a minimum wage in the country, and it's the government. Kotu doesn't have a sword to implement most of the policies by the government. So we do have try to engage the Ministry of Labour, but I believe the gesture, at least the president has shown, and considering most of the persons who elected him are, they fall within the category. I think even looking at the data that we have from KRA and Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, is majority of Kenyans above, I think, 50% and below 50,000 shillings. So those who earn
50%.
More than 50%.
It is higher than that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So because I think only, is it 10% and above 100,000?
Yes.
So a majority of them need the implementation of the minimum wage. And Kotu is moving the discussion ahead to just not discussing the minimum wage, which is 15,000, to start discussing the living wage. Because now in Nairobi, if you are working in Nairobi and you're being paid 15,000, yes, it's a minimum wage, but can you survive with it? So when you have that in your pocket, because if you have that money in your pocket, then you can have the latitude not only to just pay NSSF as a provident fund, but also as a pension fund, because NSSF is in two tiers. There is the tier 1, which is the provident fund, then the tier 2, the pension fund. Then you can also join a Sacco, because most of them, I mean, if you are looking at the data from the cooperatives, is not majority of Kenyans enjoy the luxury of even saving in Saccos.
Yeah.
So there is that discussion, and we are hoping that His Excellency will be accommodative towards ensuring that, I think among his legacy projects should be at least that the standards of workers have been improved, especially in terms of the wages they get.
Yeah, so in order for the workers to not think that the president is actually working at cross purposes to what their needs are, one of the very important things to communicate is what you talked about earlier in terms of the graduating the 6%. Yeah, this is something that perhaps even needs an infographic. When is it going to affect me, and in what way, and how does it affect me based on my salary scale level? Because just as a blanket statement like that, it's scary. In addition to all the other taxes that we'll have to contend with, and I'm calling it tax loosely because it is not a tax, it's a deduction, and it's money that I get back in a future. In the future, or in a future that I don't know if I have.
You have.
In fact, no, I'm not speaking as Daisy, just generally as a Kenyan,
okay.
And especially as a Kenyan lower down on the socio-economic bracket, because right now is more important than ahead, because if I can't feed my children now. I have a question regarding that actually. What happens to, Dr. You mentioned that there's some unfortunate incidences where people did not get to enjoy those deductions that they had been contributing through the years. What happens to that money? What happens to the contributions of people who midway are deceased?
The Act provides for the institution to identify your dependents.
So next of kin.
Yeah, those that you declared and maybe those that you failed to, because sometimes you can enroll
when people enroll,
when you're single.
usually they're very young.
Yeah.
And it's
then-
just them.
Then
And
dependents come
unmarried.
along.
And next of kin is them. Okay, so
Yeah. Or you put your girlfriend and then.
I think there's a form that they give.
So your contributions then should go to those that are listed
your
as
dependents.
Your dependents.
Yes.
So it's not lost. And if your dependents don't come along, then the money is taken to the Unclaimed Financial
Yes.
Assets Authority.
Yes.
Not really. The level of tracing that NSSF does
is high.
We rarely have any amounts that has been handed over to UFA.
Right.
Yes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. And thank you for clearing the air on what you're doing politically. But we need you to come back and tell us about the governance of COTU itself.
Yes.
It's another big issue and a big conversation. Dr. Damaris Moheka is Programs Director at the Central Organization of Trade Unions, that's COTU, and is a former board trustee of the NSSF. Bruno Otiato is the head of communications at COTU. We've been talking about why is COTU supporting the 6% NSSF deduction on workers' salaries. We now understand better. Thank you for joining us. Keep it here for more conversations. We'll be here on Justice Thursdays. Daisy is our guest host. She stays on 9 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is today scheduled to attend the ASK show in Mombasa, accompanied by Agriculture CS Mithika Lintu. Rigathi is expected to officially open the exercise on behalf of President William Ruto. A total of 158 local product exhibitors and from foreign countries are participating in the exhibition, which ends Sunday. Among the products displayed include from industrial, agricultural, tourism, fishing, and the banking sector. The motto of this year's exhibition is promoting innovation and technology in agricultural business. It's been 2 years now since the show was cancelled due to coronavirus outbreak. Now, Foreign and Diaspora Affairs Cabinet Secretary Alfred Mutua has flown to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in a bid to address the plight of mistreated Kenyan migrant workers in the Gulf state. This follows a commitment the CS made last month when he appeared before Parliament for vetting, in which he vowed to prioritize the issue should his nomination to the Foreign Affairs Ministry be approved by the House. Mutua held subsequent talks with the representatives of employment agents who recruit Kenyans for jobs in Saudi Arabia, where the CS likewise promised to travel to the Gulf state to get first-hand testimonials from mistreated Kenyans working in the Middle Eastern nation. This, the CS said, would help him come up with lasting solutions to address the welfare challenges of the said workers. After concluding business in Saudi, Mutua will then fly to Germany, where he is expected to grace the G7 foreign ministers meeting slated for November 4th. Now, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has summoned Kakamega Governor Fernandez Barasa to respond to corruption allegations during his tenure at the Kenya Electricity Transmission Company Limited, KETRACO. Barasa is required to appear before the EACC investigative panel Monday. According to the commission, the former KETRACO CEO will be recording a statement in regard to a suspected fraudulent transaction said to have been paid to Lake Turkana Wind Power for a project in Marsabit. And Jubilee House nominated Sirisia MP John Waluhe to be the commissioner in the Parliamentary Service Commission. In a letter addressed to National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula, Jubilee Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni said the party had picked Waluhe for the position. The move may seem as a long shot by the party at attempting to free Waluhe, who is currently serving his 67 jail term over fraud. He has since filed an appeal at the court. And Kiambu politician Gladys Chania, the main suspect in the gruesome murder of her husband, has been charged in court. Chania, who was charged alongside Maurice Kamau Mbugua, denied the charges before Kiambu High Court Judge Mary Kasango. They were both charged with jointly murdering George Mwangi, who worked as a contractor in Rwanda. Chania, who was married to Mwangi for 28 years, is suspected to have mooted the murder plan after she learned about her husband's alleged love affair with a secretary at a local school. His body was discovered in Kieni Forest, wrapped in a polythene bag, buried beneath a pile of cartons on the 12th of October. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu concluded his recent autobiography, Bibi, That Is My Story, with the declaration that his time on the opposition benches after an election loss in 2021 was hiatus and that great tasks lay ahead. Published just before the 5th Israeli election in 4 years and on a wide display outside voting stations on election day, the book is imbued with Netanyahu's confidence that he would retake top office soon if preliminary counts hold. Now, Prime Minister, who has dominated national politics for more than a decade, is back and set to form what looks like being one of the most right-wing governments in the country's history. Netanyahu has pledged to build on achievement of his previous term, the Abraham Accords with the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain, that opened the way for a possible normalization of relations with other Arab countries. But most attention has been focused on his alliance with the ultra-nationalist religious Zionism party and its co-leader Itamar Ben-Gvir, who was convicted in 2007 of racist incitement against Arabs and who will until recently advocating expelling Palestinians from Israel. And North Korea fired more than 20 missiles, including one that landed close to South Korea's water in what President Yoon Suk-yeol said was effectively a territorial invasion. It also fired an artillery barrage of a maritime buffer zone that experts said was part of an aggressive and threatening response by Pyongyang to large-scale joint air drills the United States and South Korea are conducting. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseta. Good morning.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Okay, Wayaki Way heading towards town is looking busy, and this is within this area of Mogoga Green Estate, coming towards Westlands. Busy. Be careful there. James Kishoro Road also busy as you get into Wayaki Way interchange. Same thing is happening with the Kuna Road and the other roads that are heading towards that area. Lavington is busy, and we know about the road that we've been talking about, and this is the Olenguroni Avenue as you head towards James Kishoro. Busy. James Kishoro Road, it's also very busy. Gitanga Road is busy. This is after Valley Arcade into Oloitoktok Road. Thika Superhighway, we know how it behaves. It's still very busy this morning. Jogoo Road is busy. The roads as you head in towards town, the area of Muranga Road into Ngara, into Globesina Roundabout, busy. CBD itself, the roads within the CBD are busy. Careful on the road. Be patient. You'll get there. Yep, this is a situation room. We're also talking about The Room, theroom.com, the place where you go and get the best vetted tech talent just for you. You are able to get the best. This include virtual assistants, cloud developers, software engineers, trained properly and vetted and available. And when you go there and you look for any of those talents, it's very easy for you. It's actually been made easy. If you just go to theroom.com, you select which particular skill you're looking for, and they take you through the steps, and then they present you with CVs of those who are qualified. As we talk about that tech, let's also talk about the other side of tech. Samsung Galaxy A04. Let's break it down for you. The aesthetics are premium, sleek, light, compact in very exciting colors. More than that, the Samsung Galaxy A04 has a 6.5-inch screen that gives you seamless viewing, a 50-megapixel camera for clear and sharp photos and videos, expandable storage, a long-lasting battery that allows you to do more of what you love for much longer. There's more to love. It's the perfect phone to capture your best memories. You can create more with the new Samsung Galaxy A04 because Samsung is an official partner of the Choma na Ngoma Festival this year, November the 5th, happening this year. More details on that. We have a guest now in the studio. Justice Thursday's conversation. We have been talking about tribunals. We have had very many tribunals being discussed here. Many. Daisy, have you heard of the tribunals? There's the Energy Tribunal. Of course, you know the Political Parties Dispute Tribunal. You've been applying the political process. There's a Tax Dispute Tribunal. There is the Energy Tribunal. There is the Rent Dispute Tribunal.
Very active one.
Very active one, right? Last week we were having a conversation about what was cooperative. It was cooperative. It was cooperative tribunal. Yes, members of cooperatives and wondering what they were. So we have one other tribunal. We'll introduce the guest shortly after he hears the day's proverb from CT.
Isn't it wonderful when your guest knows more about what you've been discussing than you do?
Yeah, it shows that he's been listening. It's a very good thing.
But, you know, we have a disclaimer.
Yeah.
When do people get time to watch the show? Because us, we never watch the show.
Buona.
Yes, surely. We must make time to watch the show, shouldn't we?
Okay.
Okay. We are in the land of the pharaohs. We're in Egypt. Every man is rich in excuses to safeguard his prejudices and instincts.
Every man is rich
in excuses to safeguard his prejudices and his instincts.
Dr. Jackson Bett is the chairperson of the Micro and Small Enterprises Tribunal. This is the Hustler Tribunal. I'm sure he's going to tell us that. Dr. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for joining us and sitting on the hot seat of the Situation Room. That proverb, do you relate?
Yes, I think I would relate to that program. And it reminds me of the quote by Anthony Robbins, that you would always find an excuse to, hang your excuses on. But ultimately, they remain as excuses. You can't move an inch because they are just excuses.
They're just excuses.
Yes. So that is my perception of that quote by CT.
I think it makes a lot of sense. Dr. What is this MSME's tribunal?
Thank you very much, Eric. So the Micro and Small Enterprises Tribunal is a tribunal that has been established under the provisions of the Micro and Small Enterprises Act, number 55 of 2012. The essence of establishment of that tribunal is really to resolve disputes within the micro and small enterprises.
Who are micro and small enterprises? The other day we had a boss from KRA and he was telling us, small businesses have a turnover of about 700 million shillings.
Yes.
Like,
what are the parameters? What are the parameters?
What is micro, what is small?
Yeah.
Yes. Indeed, the perception that has been created over time is that micro and small enterprises are minute organizations. I think I'm here today to demystify that notion, because the micro and small enterprises really are not as micro as we might want to imagine. And the reason why I'm saying this is because the definitive aspects of the micro and small enterprises, let's look at the micro enterprises in the first instance. These are, it's a trade, it could be a farm, it could be a business entity, it could be an industry. But then in terms of the annual turnover of a micro enterprise, it goes up to 500,000 shillings. Now, when you look at the asset portfolio of the micro enterprises. It depends. So that if you're looking at manufacturing micro enterprise, its asset portfolio could span up to 10 million shillings. And if it is within the agricultural or farming sector, the enterprise or the financial asset portfolio could run up to 10 million shillings. Actually could run up to 5 million shillings. So that is the parity. Now, when you're dealing with the small enterprise, of course, these are elevated versions of the micro enterprises. And the annual turnover of a small enterprise could go up to 5 million shillings. Now, in terms of the numbers of the labor force of a small enterprise, it is between 10 persons to 50 persons. Now, the asset portfolio of a small enterprise, depending, if you're looking at a manufacturing small enterprise, it is between 10 million shillings and 50 million shillings. And if it is within the farming or agricultural sector, it is between 5 million shillings and 20 million shillings. City, I think you'll agree with me that even though we look at these enterprises as really, really small units, the asset portfolio of those enterprises could actually run to billions of shillings in the long run. Yes.
That's actually a very big organization, one that employs about up to 50 people, 5 million shillings annual turnover.
Yes.
Then the asset base, if you talk about in manufacturing, up to 50 million shillings in assets.
Yes.
That's a big enterprise.
Yes.
Okay.
And just to also elaborate more on that, the conglomerates of these micro and small enterprises are referred to as associations. And of course, there is a regime that is now available for purposes of registration. One association has at least 35 micro and small enterprises.
Oh, like now, the Juakali Association.
Precisely.
Okay.
Now, cumulatively, if you are to look at 35 entities with an asset base of about 50 million shillings,
50 million each,
it actually tells you that one association could have an asset base of about 1.75 billion shillings. That's huge.
If not more. But
if not more.
I have to ask this,
Yes.
how do you arrive at this classification? Well, small, medium, not so medium, not so small.
Yes.
I mean,
Micro,
yes.
Minute,
microscopic. I mean, how do you arrive at this?
Well, these are the definitive provisions under the Micro Enterprises Act. And I think the idea was to ensure that however small an entity is, because when you're dealing with a micro unit, you can see that the asset base is up to 5 million shillings. The number of persons is up to 10 persons. So it means it could be from 1 to 10 persons. The annual turnover could be between 1 and 500,000 shillings. So that is what defines.
So a border operator is in the same category as a company that has a 5 million turnover.
Well, if you are to look at it from the definitive aspects of a micro enterprise under the Act, I think it would fall within that category.
So it's that border, it's Mamamboga, also farmer.
Yes.
Because the majority of farmers, and if you look at this asset base of 5 million shillings in agriculture sector, employing up to 10 people,
yes,
annual turnover of 500,000, many of farmers would be in that category.
Yes.
Somebody with a cow and they're selling milk and selling milk to
an aggregator.
So those are all categorized as businesses and they're recognized in law.
Well, they are recognized.
Or do they have to be
informally.
registered?
They are recognized informally as such. But when you look at the provisions of the Micro and Small Enterprises Act, there is a requirement that these micro units should be registered.
Okay.
Yes. The fact that they have not been registered, though, doesn't mean that they are not recognized as such. Yes.
Maritime Minor Daisy Farm. and then you categorize that you fall into this. So what kind of disputes would emerge in this, and what do you deal with?
Yes. Now, the reason why the Micro and Small Enterprises Tribunal was formed was in order to deal with all the disputes within the industry. And there are three parties that could be isolated within that framework. We have disputes between the members of the micro and small enterprises amongst themselves. We have disputes between the members of the micro enterprises vis-a-vis the association. We have disputes that may exist between the members of the micro and small enterprises vis-a-vis the authority, because there is an authority that has been established. That is the Micro and Small Enterprises Authority that registers these micro and units and associations. So that is the first limb in terms of the placement of the parties. But in terms of the specific disputes that may arise within the industry, the first category of disputes are commercial disputes, which may arise. It could be a debt, that a member has been lent some money by the association, or one of the micro entities has been lent money by an association. So then of course they fail to pay. That's a dispute that can be classified within the commercial framework. We also have other disputes which are not commercial in nature. And these disputes include, for instance, where an enterprise fails to adhere to the rules and regulations governing the institution. We could also have disputes relating to misallocation.
An enterprise fails to adhere to rules governing the institution.
Yes.
I'm lost.
What that means is that every association, for instance, that has been formed, it would have rules and regulations. It could have a memorandum of understanding, but it could also have a constitution that govern that entity. So if there is any transgression insofar as the adherence to those rules, then those disputes can be presented before the tribunal. Yes. Now, in addition to that, we have disputes relating to leadership and elections of the members and leaders of the association. Now, in addition to that, we have disputes relating to allocation of work site, disputes relating to irregular, distribution of work sites, and in this particular case, what comes into mind would be it could be Juakali artisans, it could be hawkers, in a government
market.
Yeah, so such disputes would be presented before the tribunal. So you can see that we deal with both commercial related kind of disputes, but we also deal with disputes of a nature that are not commercial. Yes.
Are there, within the tribunal, or maybe within the act, because I haven't had an opportunity to peruse it, are there sensitivities or some affirmative consideration towards women operating MSMEs?
Now, gender perspectives would always be considered. And that explains the reason why, as a tribunal, we always try as much as possible to ensure that the rules and regulations that govern the institutions are adhered to, so that if there is a framework that has been created within a micro and small enterprise or an association and is not gender sensitive or gender friendly, then our work as a tribunal is to point out that indeed there has been a transgression and of course urge the members to consider ensuring that the same has been
and seeing
realized.
Yes, and seeing it through that lens that there are particular and sets of challenges that are very particular to women.
Yes.
For example?
Harassment.
So within the association, let's say it's an association of hawkers, okay?
Yes.
So there would be, so internally among the membership, maybe that harassment and discrimination based on gender?
Because I know, or you've mentioned, and I hope I got it right, that there's also the regulators. For instance, what do you call it? Now, people who enforce the law.
Like Kanjo Askaris.
Exactly. Yeah. So now there's an association of hawkers, and I don't know if it's an association of women hawkers or whatnot, and they face different challenges when it comes to their interaction and engagement with the law or with law enforcers or with Kanjo, people who regulate their licensing and that kind of thing. And one of the challenges that stands out particularly for women is harassment, sexual harassment, or, just the societal standing of women depending on where you are in the country. Those kind of considerations.
Actually, do you deal with those?
Now, I think we need to distinguish the jurisdiction of the Micro and Small Enterprises Tribunal from the jurisdiction of other entities within, the realm of access to justice. And in this particular case, the High Court and the mainstream, magistrate courts. I think it has to be very clear that the tribunal do not deal with enforcement of rights and fundamental freedoms as provided for in our Constitution. That is a matter that, is dealt with at the High Court. The tribunal only deals with the business-related disputes within the micro and small enterprises, the associations, and the authority. Now, let me just clear this, that the only area that the Micro and Small Enterprise Tribunal addresses in terms of administrative overreach would be in situations where the micro and small enterprise wishes, to be registered, and the registrar, for whatever reason, without, giving reasons, fails to register the association or a micro enterprise. Secondly, in situations where there has been an arbitral cancellation of or suspension of registration of an association, then in that particular case, the aggrieved parties would have the right to approach the tribunal so as to ensure that that particular administrative overreach is redressed or corrected. Yes.
What's your caseload?
Now, the caseload at the moment is not as heavy as you would expect, and primarily, I think, because the institution is relatively new. We have about 20 cases at the moment. For the period that the current tribunal has been in office, we've dealt with slightly over 100 cases. And of course, the kind of cases that we've dealt with are vast. We've dealt with cases in different parts of this country. We've dealt with a case involving about 1,500 border operators in Kericho. We've dealt with a case involving about 1,000 members of the Nakuru Shabab Juakali Association. We've dealt with a case here in Nairobi involving the Kamukunji Juakali Association that has a membership of about 5,000 members. And we've also dealt with a matter in Mombasa involving hawkers and juakali artisans with a membership of about 5,000 strong. So to that extent, therefore, you can see that even though we've not really dealt with very many cases, the outreach in terms of numbers, I believe, is huge, because Kamukunji Juakali Association, for instance, with 5,000 strong members, I believe when you look at the numbers, really, those are very many persons. And if
was it a dispute between the association and somebody else, or was it a dispute within the association?
It was actually a dispute within the association. It was about allegations of misappropriation and misallocation of funds. There were also allegations relating to leadership, because there were two factions that claimed leadership. But to cut the long story short, Eric, I must say that the tribunal was able to resolve that matter within a period of 60 days. And that would really be considered as one of the highlights of the achievements of this particular tribunal.
100 cases, you say?
Yes.
Okay, now, do you see any emerging pattern? Do you see any emerging concurrence of issues, something that you see it and it recurs again, and you see it again, and so there's a commonality, there's a thread that runs through this?
Yes.
Have you encountered such a phenomenon?
Yes, we've encountered such a challenge, and what comes out very, very prominently, City, is cases relating to mismanagement, misallocation of funds, issues relating to leadership wrangles. Those are the fundamental issues that have arisen over the past.
Typical issues.
What
I see with the work that you're doing, Dr. Bet, is really about perhaps access to justice to some groups of people who would otherwise have had difficulty getting redress. For example, the boda, you said how many in Kericho? 100?
1,000.
500 boda operators in an association. In the absence of the tribunal, what would have the process have been?
Aye.
And how different would it have looked like?
It would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
You just think of it going through the normal judicial process.
Absolutely.
That thing would get jam locked even before it moved.
Absolutely, and I'm saying there's a focus on your end about the timelines within which the cases should be concluded. Is that right?
Yes, actually, Daisy. Let me state this, that the tribunal, as it exists, has distinguished itself in the sense that we want to render justice to a particular distinct group of persons who would have had, numerous challenges if their issues were to be, convoluted with the other cases. And we try as much as possible to ensure expeditious disposal of disputes within 60 days.
Yeah.
Actually, our service charter provides for 90 days, but we try as much as possible to resolve those issues. Actually, 95% of the cases that we've dealt with have been resolved within 60 days. And you can see that I'm making emphasis on resolution of the dispute, not just determination of the dispute, because you can determine a dispute. You can say that this side has won, the other side has lost, but that is not the idea. The idea is to resolve the dispute so as to achieve both justice and peace at the same time. And to that extent, therefore, we see the small and micro enterprises, the Micro and Small Enterprises Tribunal, as a very, very important institutional framework in ensuring societal transformation and ensuring societal stability at that basic level. Because if you are to look at the micro and small enterprises as the most basic tools of production, And the reason why I'm saying this is because a micro enterprise is that trade. It is that industry. It is that service, it is that, a business entity. Yeah. So if you are to look at it from that standpoint, you find that it is a basic unit that can cause, economic growth and the development. And of course, most importantly, to improve the livelihoods of the citizenry in this country.
Indeed. 27 minutes to 10. Let's take a quick break. Dr. Jackson Bett is the chairperson of the Micro and Small Enterprises Tribunal. We're talking about the role of this tribunal in Chief Justice Martha Koome's strategy of social transformation through access to justice. What is it that they're doing? And we've heard that, yes, they're dealing with very many small and micro and small enterprises forming into associations. So we're talking about very many people who are benefiting. Yeah. These are the same people, by the way, who are also being targeted by the Kenya Mortgage Refinance Company. Any individual or group that is earning up to 150,000 shillings a month can actually go and seek home ownership through KMRC at less than 10% interest for as long as 25 years. See now how they all come in. Imagine if all this information was available to everybody at all the time and access is easy, how then would be able to move? You guys are in a Sacco, you're thinking about how much you're earning. Can you talk about home ownership? There's affordable housing that's being rolled out on one side. There's money being available on this other side. There's mortgage refinancing happening on this side. And if there are disputes, there's dispute resolution happening from this front. This and more conversations coming up shortly. 25 to 10. Time for that break.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
If I look at the Premier League table, Manchester City is on top. Arsenal, number 2 in the table. Absolutely. How did Brentford get to number 3 in the Premier League table? They beat us like Burukenge.
Sugar and spice. What's your love language, French?
My love language is I want to be left alone.
What can't you compromise on?
Quality time and acts of service. Words of affirmation tutapata hata kanisani.
We do this
11 to 3 p.m. Monday to Friday. DJ Absolute and
Yolanda Mulwa
on 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, let's take a look at the weather forecast. Nairobi, expect rain showers today, 22. Mombasa, light rain at 30. Malindi, mostly cloudy at 30. Kisumu, cloudy day as well, 28. Nakuru, light rain at 22. Nyeri, showers today at 19. Kakamega, cloudy at 27. And Eldoret, sunny at 23. Kampala, rain showers at 26. Dar es Salaam, light rain at 31. Johannesburg, light rain at 21. Kinshasa, rain showers at 29. Lagos, mostly sunny day at 32. New York, clear, morning at 20. London, rain at 13. Beijing, sunny at 14. Paris, cloudy at 17. It's been a bad morning in all the roads leading towards town. It's improving now. The jam on Thika Superhighway now stretches from Utalii Hotel heading towards the intersection with Kiambu Road. It clears up after that on Muranga Road and then gets busy at Ngara as you get into the Kipande Road Junction and Globe Cinema Roundabout. The Museum Hill Junction into town was also busy earlier. It's clearing up. Langata Road is good. Langong Road is good. Mombasa Road is good. Jogoo Road, the usual area of Makadara Hamza, is still busy, but it's moving. Outer Ring Road was very, very busy earlier at the intersection with the Airport Road, North Airport Road. It's now clear. And North Airport Road into Eastern Bypass is also now clear. It's improving. Daisy, you've heard us talking about the room, right?
Yes.
The room is the place where you go and get what?
Talent.
Uh-huh.
In is it in
tech talent?
Tech talent.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Continue. Go on.
From what you've heard, just recall.
So the room is an aggregator of tech talent that is, highly skilled, can be trusted, and so they serve as a resource where companies can go and do a hiring process, I suppose.
You know, if this were an exam on which you were supposed to be scored,
I would pass with flying colors.
You have taken the words right out, Kabisa, even before
you get a distinction.
Yes, they were just moving from my brain to my mouth. I actually thought you would say
the opposite. Yes. That's why I jumped in to rescue myself.
Trust yourself.
Yes,
trust yourself. Have faith in Daisy.
You've understood it perfectly, and your memory is excellent.
It's because Latif has delivered it perfectly.
It's theroom.com. Visit it, theroom.com, for the best tech talent. Dr. Jackson Bett is still here with us in the studio. We're talking about the work of the Micro and Small Enterprises Tribunal. You know, with now the opening up of the space on access to justice, so we've got tribunals, we've got the formal court systems, and then we've got the alternative dispute resolution mechanisms, the alternative justice system that's also been rolled out by the CJ. Now, if you look at members of a particular, say, association like Nakuru now has an AJS that's been established, the alternative justice system mechanism.
Yes.
And then you have the tribunal such as yours that's present. How do you let your members know when to come to you, when to go to AJS, when to go to court?
Thank you very much for that question, Eric. Now, what happens is that the disputes that come to the tribunal should be considered as, tribunal should be looked at the lender of the last resort within that matrix, in the sense that if the members of the association are not able to resolve their disputes internally, if they are not able to deploy, ADR mechanisms amongst themselves, and it so happens that there is no other way out, then it is then that they approach the tribunal. So, and a number of times, even before we hear the parties, we ask the parties whether they have deployed the internal dispute resolution mechanisms. So to that extent, therefore, I think you can clearly see that there is a web in terms of frameworks for resolution of disputes. And of course, it would not be advisable for the members of the association to jump the gun to come to the tribunal before extinguishing the internal mechanisms. Now, now that we have the alternative justice kind of systems, well, It is a feature that should be encouraged, because when you look at our Constitution, Article 159, it provides that alternative dispute resolution mechanisms should be encouraged and promoted. And this would include arbitration, we have reconciliation, we have mediation, and we have traditional dispute resolution mechanisms. And of course, there is now an extended version of the same, that is the alternative justice systems. I must say that as members of the tribunal, we, some of us are trained. I'm a trained mediator, certified mediator. My vice chair and another member is also mediators, and therefore we are able to deploy these mechanisms when we deem that it would be the best way to address the pre-existing dispute.
Which is the cheapest way to get a dispute resolved? Look at your member. Look at the people who've come to you. I mean,
yes.
Jua Kali, artisans, border riders, the people operating in the market. What's the cheapest and fastest route of getting a dispute resolved? Like you said, it's not just judgment delivered, but resolution.
Now, to answer that question, I think you need to look at the entire spectrum of the dispute resolution frameworks. I've indicated that we have mediation, we have reconciliation, we have arbitration. Then, of course, we have the mainstream adjudication process through the court process. It could also be within the tribunal framework. But in my view, I think mediation stands out. The reason why I'm saying that mediation would stand out is because you're giving the parties an opportunity to resolve their disputes themselves. You're giving them a chance. You're just providing a platform for them to understand their disputes well and to think of mechanisms to resolve their disputes among themselves. So for me, I think mediation really stands out. And with mediation, you're able to achieve peace and you're able to achieve justice at the same time. So I think that is what I can say about that pre-existing framework. And as it is right now, we have court-annexed mediation, which really provides a framework for deployment of mediation as a dispute resolution mechanism. Yes.
There's this question I asked about this common thread.
Yes.
Did you answer it? And when you did, was I in the room?
Was that today?
Yes, indeed. Well, as I stated, the common thread disputes of relating to mismanagement, misallocation of funds, and leadership wrangles. Those are the main disputes, and I think history and experience have taught us that you may not really deploy the traditional adjudication processes, to resolve those kind of disputes. There has to be a clear understanding between these the warring groups. What we've done in the past is to inform, or rather to encourage the warring factions that let the bygones be bygones. Let's begin from this point moving forward. What is it that ought to have been done right in the past? Could we provide a conducive environment where elections can be conducted afresh, and you bring in the correct oversight mechanisms to ensure that the process is transparent, free, fair, credible, and so on and so forth. And we've established that has actually provided a breakthrough, because we give an order to that effect that the election would be conducted on this particular day. It would be superintended by this entity, and that a part of the team that would be organizing the election would even involve, the registrar of the micro and small enterprises, and of course, including the CEDO, that is the County Enterprises Development organizations. So to that extent, therefore, we found a very conducive way of dealing with those kind of disputes.
I keep thinking that the work you're doing really contributes to overturning this notion that justice is for the rich and the law is for the poor. What I want to ask, I think based on what you're describing, there needs to be such a high level of specialization in terms of how your tribunal is constituted, because your work is a combination of the law and business.
Yes.
So what do the people who sit in the tribunal look like?
Okay. Thank you very much, Daisy. Now, the tribunal, as established, has diverse membership. The chairperson and the vice chairperson are nominated by the Judicial Service Commission and appointed by the Cabinet Secretary. The qualifications of the chairperson and the vice chairperson are that of a judge of the High Court. So those are the two members. Cumulatively, we have seven members. Yes, so those are lawyers. Secondly, we have a member nominated by the Law Society of Kenya with 7 years' experience as an advocate. Then we have two members who are lawyers with expertise on micro and small enterprises laws. Then we have two members who are non-lawyers but have expertise and experience in the management of the micro and small enterprises. And of course, those ones are appointed by the Cabinet Secretary in consultation with the authority, that is the Micro and Small Enterprises Authority. So you can see that with that combination, the membership is diverse and versatile and is able to deal with issues without really considering the legal lens in exclusion. Because a number of times we seek, to find out from the representatives of the experts of the micro and small enterprises. And when they give their perspectives, then we realize that if we were to look at it from the legal lens exclusively, we would have missed the point.
Yes.
So I think I would say that is one of the advantages.
The advantages, because you're bringing in the voice.
Yes.
But then explain to me, then, why do we need so many lawyers in a tribunal? I mean, surely the whole essence here is to resolve disputes.
Yes.
Why must we have lawyers? 2 lawyers of the High Court, 2 lawyers, lawyer nominated by LSK, somebody who gets endorsed by LS. Why must we have so many lawyers?
I think the reason why that is the case is because at the end of the day, this is a quasi-judicial function. Yes. So, and a number of times you'll find that we pronounce judgments, we give awards, we sign decrees, and our powers are derived, from Article 159 of the Constitution, which is part of the judicial function, as delegated, under Article 1 of the Constitution. So to that extent, therefore, you can see that we cannot really lose sight of the judicial aspect of this the dispute resolution process. But let me also state that the reason why lawyers would form a critical core of the membership is because, in the first instance, the chairperson has to chair the tribunal. The quorum is 3. Now, in the absence of the chairperson, the vice chairperson can preside over the tribunal. So that therefore means that the chair and the vice chair ought to be lawyers.
Okay.
Yeah,
so you can have 2 panels at the same time.
But in the absence of the chair and the vice?
In the absence of the chair and the vice, then There's no business that can be transacted.
There's no quorum.
There's a bit of a problem there, isn't there?
The leadership of the quorum must have chair or vice.
Yes. That is what the Act provides.
Well, it makes sense as well.
Yes.
Where do you get your money from?
Now,
are you getting it from Moses Kuria's ministry? Or are you getting it from the Judiciary Fund? Getting it from the Treasury?
Public Service Commission?
Now, we are being funded by the judiciary. Yes, and I think I would dare say almost exclusively, by the judiciary.
I have to ask this question, Dr.
Yes.
You work with this organization, these people. How are they represented in this tribunal? The membership, are they people who are, say, chair of Sacco? Meaning, yes, because you are arbitrating, you are overseeing disputes that these people have.
Yes.
The people who are the originators of these disputes, are they also represented? Are they in the tribunal? Do you have somebody?
You're saying beyond the two members who are nominated by the cabinet secretary?
Now,
yes, yes, because that is nominated by the.
So you want like people who are elected through some federation?
Yes, meaning yes, there's consensus in that this is the person we feel ought to represent us in this tribunal because we understand that they would understand our issues. So when this tribunal is doing their business, because the lawyers understand the law, but do they understand these enterprises that we're speaking
and that's exactly it. That's what he was talking about, the diversity of how it is constituted. Yes, so that
I'm actually saying two is not enough. That's really what I'm saying.
Okay. I think that is an issue that could be looked at, for future reforms. And the reason why I'm saying this is because the current structure is that we have two members appointed by the cabinet secretary, but with expertise in the management of micro and small enterprises. But then that is done in consultation with the authority. My assumption here is that the authority is endowed with the capacity to determine experts within the industry, because it is the one that registers the associations.
Dr. I actually want to differ with Dr. on this point.
It sounds those are technocrats.
Yes, exactly. I think, you see, it's a gentle disagreement. Very gentle in this sense. These are not experts in the functions of this business. They are experts in the structure, in the finances. The day-to-day management of any such enterprises, the experts are the people who do it on a daily basis. They are the ones who actually know. Forget the other people who oversee and do all these things, who regulate. Okay, like for instance, what is your area of expertise?
Lawyer.
Well,
no. I'm going somewhere with this. Lawyer?
Yes, but
exactly. Now, you see, by the time you get to the level of you have a PhD, you've specialized, or you've specialized in a specialization.
Yes.
So you understand that.
Yes.
But the reason why you are called an expert is because you have gone and done research, and the research usually has to do with cases that involve. It's not just what is written, but the entire accumulation of knowledge that arises from case law and all these things.
Yes.
Okay? Now, that's what helps you provide, gives you the expertise. Now, I'm saying, here you have a situation where you don't have to read. The people actually live there. You see them. These are the people who work on a daily basis in this. Why are they not represented?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And cabinet secretary appointing them, that one, forget. That doesn't cut it.
Cronism.
Yes, that doesn't cut it. That isn't representation. That's ring fencing safety. If I'm the CS, I'll elect people who I know won't give me problems.
What would this person look like, City? Would it be a retired businesswoman, for instance?
No.
Because a practicing business
chairman.
person would not, perhaps sit in a tribunal and engage that much time solving 100 cases in I don't know how long.
Daisy, this top-down approach that Dr. is talking about works up to a certain point. If you want what you call buy-in, the very people whose business you're overseeing need to feel that somebody whom they have determined, is there. Yeah. Then they feel we are represented.
I agree with you, City, that that is an area that would merit reform in the future, so that there is clarity in terms of the two persons who represent the business enterprises. Yes, but I think the diversity, as it were, at the moment, really has helped us in looking at dispute resolution from different perspectives, from the social perspective, from the economic perspective, and also within the legal perspective. And I must say that in terms of societal transformation, we can say in affirmative that the Micro and Small Enterprises Tribunal is a game changer in ensuring that the blueprint that has been devised by the Honorable Chief Justice is realized. And we do that by ensuring expeditious disposal of disputes at low cost, and ensuring that we go to the substance of dispute resolution without really,
sideshows and delays and
but this stuff is commendable.
Adjournments.
When you look at what the Chief Justice and the team who work with her have done with these issues, if you're talking about bringing justice machinani,
this is it.
And I mean, this is it, really.
This is it.
Yeah.
Yes. Dr. Bet.
And also allow me to say that in terms of access, you don't have to come to Nairobi to file a dispute with the Micro and Small Enterprises Tribunal. You can go to the immediate registry. If you're in Kitale, just go to Kitale registry. If you're in Busia, you go to Busia registry. All that information would be relayed to us, and we will be able to reach you wherever you are. We move as a tribunal. We don't wait for you to come for us.
Dr. Jackson Bet, thank you very much for joining us. Dr. Bet is the chairperson of Micro and Small Enterprises Tribunal. Our time is up, just like that, imagine. Daisy.
Yes.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Did you have fun?
I had a lot of fun. It was such a pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Citi, Eric, and Daisy. Thank you very much.
See you again tomorrow, people. It's 10 a.m.
President Rigathi Gachagua is scheduled to attend the ASK show